fun.
You've always been able to throw over 100 miles an hour, but this is your 7th year in the majors. How did you go from a fastball thrower to a tactical pitcher?
You know, just the evolution of pitching, I guess. Just getting innings under my belt and learning as I go. You know, that's been my goal every year, is to become a better pitcher. You know, and I feel like all the hard work I put in the off season and just learning how to pitch to guys. I think that experience is extremely valuable as a pitcher, and just remembering how to get guys out and things of that nature. And you know, it's coming along.
You equaled your career high with 14 strikeouts against the Yankees back on August 6th. You'll take them on in Game 3. How will you approach their lineup?
You know, I'll look at that game and see what was working for me and what they weren't hitting. But at the same time, it's a little bit different in the playoffs. I think, you know, every at bat, every pitch has got that much more pressure on it. But, you know, like Oakland and like the game before, just go out there and execute my game plan, make my pitches, and once the ball's out of my hand, I can't control it. So hopefully it works out well.
Well, we'll see you in Game 3 and Game 7 if necessary.
I hope not Game 7.
Right. And one other pitching note, Jabba Chamberlain, who left Game 4 after being hit with the barrel of the bat off of Mark Wieters. He has been receiving treatment. He is in the bullpen tonight, and he says he is ready to go. As a side note, he has an autographed bat from Mark Wieters. Wieters left before leaving New York. It says, "Stop sawing me off at the plate. It could be dangerous on the mound." Back to you, Matt.
That's cool. Certainly was that night. That is a cool little
I like that.
Cool little story about that. You know, Verlander and Sabathia, as I mentioned, both had to pitch Game 5s, which means they don't go till Games 3 and 4, respectively. How much does that change the dynamic of this series coming in?
It's huge dynamics, because if you get, when it leaves his hand, he has no idea. But I think all the hitters know, they have a great idea what's going. It's tough to hit. So, you know, and CC's the same way. I mean, he's a proven, you know, veteran out there in postseason, and with those two not in the that are not, it changes it up.
Let me cut you off for a minute.
Of course,
is it important? Well, I haven't done it in a while.
Right.
1-0. Is it so important to go one? Because there used to be 1-4-7.
Right.
And now,
Right.
okay, how important is it to get off to a good start? Neither one of these guys are going to go 1-4-7. So what's wrong with 3-7, 4-7?
Oh, it could very well happen, depending on what happens in 1 and 2. Because you're going to bring it back. You're not going to get down 3-0. You're going to bring your ace in. I mean, that's just a given. I mean, that's what I would do if I was managing. But, you know, it changes the dynamics a lot, and depend on your first and second guy who started. Andy Pettitte, I like him on the mound. You look at the track record, what he's done. He knows these hitters. There's a couple guys, you know, that gives him a little bit of trouble, but he knows how to pitch. He's a veteran and proven guy, and he's not going to let those guys beat him. And as long as he trusts his stuff, he's not overpowering. So that's the thing that's going to happen with
To me,
him.
Game 1 sets the tone. Let's face
Always.
it. You know, and especially with a guy like
So
Pettitte.
big momentum builder.
Oh, totally. And especially with a guy like Pettitte. Can he keep doing this? You know, not that I'm questioning him, but how can you not? You know, he's 40 years old. And on the other side of that, Pfister, he could set the tone for Detroit. You talk about getting back home with Verlander. If you can win 1 out of 2, bang, Verlander. Knowing Verlander is 7. Because that's what we said about, you know, the Oakland series. Oakland they won a couple of games, but they knew they had Verlander. But, you know, the Yankees have CC, I know, too, but Verlander's number 3. They had to wait for number 4.
It's interesting, as well as those two guys have pitched, it's almost like a 5-game series if you assume each wins their starts in Games 3 and 4. Changes things significantly for these two teams. Okay, the lineup question. We have an answer.
Jeff Kellogg behind the plate, Rob Drake at first, Sam Holbrook at second, Jeff Nelson at third. Down the left field line, it's Gary Cedarstrom and Mike Winters stationed on the right field line. Andy Pettitte is ready. Austin Jackson steps in to lead it off. The Tigers center fielder, career years in terms of average home runs and RBIs. And he's got pop from that leadoff spot. He takes a strike, and we are underway here on TBS. Thanks for being with us.
Austin Jackson is one of those players Jim Leyland was talking about early in his career. Almost had 200 hits in his rookie campaign. The league made adjustments against him. He struggled for some time, but he's made adjustments back. And now he is on his way to being a superstar player.
Takes inside, a ball and a strike. Even 300 on the year, 16 homers, 66 runs batted in. Pettit into the wind, and here it comes. He's ahead 1-2.
For Andy Pettit, he doesn't have the hard cutter as much as he used to. He could just pitch in fastballs, cutters in. He's got more touch on his pitches. He throws his curveball more. Still has the changeup. Still trying to throw that cutter. And in the first game, it left him after the first inning.
Just missed.
Well, you see this pitch. He's going to try to backdoor a slider, and it looks good where he catches it, but the question is, did it go around the plate? And for Mr. Kellogg, he stayed on that pitch pretty well.
Towards second, easy play for Cano, 1 down.
Well, defense in the outfield, Ichiro Suzuki in left, Curtis Granderson, who had 2 great plays last year, right field switcher, Midas, Fort Knox, whatever you want to call it in the infield, because they've got all that gold with Rodriguez, Jeter, Cano, Teixeira, and Martin behind the plate.
With 1 down, here's Omar Infante. Takes high and away. He came over from the Marlins on July 23rd and really stabilized things defensively, manning the post at second base, because they were basically having a revolving door at second base early in the season, Ronnie.
Well, there's second basemen there. They tried Rayburn there, Santiago, even Brandon Inge before he was sent to Oakland played there. Combined 201 from their second baseman was their average.
On the ground, A-Rod will gun him down. 2 up and 2 down.
Well, this is the thing that you'll see when Andy Pettit's going real good. A good changeup away, hits it on the ground. A-Rod with a good in-between hop. Of course, plenty of time to throw him out. But if you want to beat the Detroit Tigers, you have to get the first 2 guys out, because lumber's coming, and you'd rather face them with nobody on and no stress.
You need table sitters instead of table setters,
Yeah.
or you're going to be in trouble.
Here is the Triple Crown winner. First and 67, Miguel Cabrera. Swinging at the first pitch, gets it past Rodriguez at third, and Cabrera's aboard.
One of the things you won't see against the right-handed pitchers of the Yankees is you won't see this pull conscious of the hitters. The right-handed hitters are going to wear out the side of the diamond where A-Rod and Derek Jeter are. Bad hop there. No chance for A-Rod.
Well, here's Prince Fielder. Fielder with 30 homers, 108 runs batted in. And he takes a strike from Pettit.
Always found it interesting, Ron, when you were trying to establish something first time up, they went in on Cabrera and he gets a base hit. You always try to set that precedent and wonder if that changes at all. I know it was just a single, but it's interesting. First pitch in, set the tone. He got a hit.
In the air behind the plate, will be out of play.
You know, John, it sounds like a good game plan, though, wouldn't it be, to really rush Cabrera in every single at bat until you have people on base?
Right.
Here it is, first inning of the ALCS. And they're on their feet. 0-2 pitch from Pettit to Fielder. The Tigers go quietly in the first. Starting lineups brought to you by the Capital One Cash Rewards card. Derek Jeter leads it off for the Yankees, followed by Ichiro in the 2-hole. Robinson Cano hits third. Mark Teixeira hits cleanup. Then it's Raul Ibanez. Alex Rodriguez in the 6-hole tonight. Then it's Nick Swisher, Curtis Granderson, and Russell Martin hits ninth.
Well, for Doug Fister, 10-10 on the year. Been pretty good of late. One of the things, when he's good, he's really good. And his 10 wins, 1.32 ERA, and his losses, not so good. Way up there in ERA. Attack the strike zone. He could throw any pitch at any time. Very, very athletic. And all of his 8 Ks versus Oakland were against left-handed hitters.
Derek Jeter leads it off and takes down low 1-0. A lot of Yankees not hitting in that first series, but you can't put Jeter in that number. He hit 364. led the team in hits with 8. Knocked in a couple of runs.
Doug Fister is a rhythm pitcher, and if you don't know what I mean by a rhythm pitcher, when things are going good, the delivery, everything throws a little across his body, everything works. Every pitch is in rhythm, and when he's not in rhythm, it's a struggle. It crosses the fire, and he'll do some things that are uncharacteristic.
The 2-0. Missed again. 3 balls and no strikes.
See, the last 16 starts more in rhythm. He wasn't fighting with his mechanics. He was hurt a couple times. That leads to it.
And that is a 4-pitch walk to the Yankee leadoff hitter.
Behind Fister in the outfield today. Andy Dirks will be in left field. Austin Jackson in center field, and Garcia in right. Cabrera, Peralta, Infante, fielder in the infield. Gerald Laird getting his 49 starts he started this season. Miguel Cabrera, 1 error in his last 36 games. That includes the postseason.
Yeah, here's Ichiro. Knocked in 3 runs in the series against the Baltimore Orioles, and that's 5 straight balls from Doug Fister.
That's not the start you want here in New York. Of course, Fister's been here before last year and pitched in some big games, so it shouldn't be the nerves. It's just locating the strike zone and pounding the strike zone.
They got the win in the clincher here, Game 5 of the ALDS in 2011. Here he pitches Game 1 of the ALCS. Jeter with his lead at first, and Ichiro squares to bunt and lays it down foul. You know, the Yankees have had their eye on Fister. Go back to 2005. The Yankees selected him in the June draft. He did not sign, went back to Fresno State for his senior year, and began his career with Seattle. Here he is with Detroit and pitching Game 1 of the championship series. That ball's in the air to left, and it'll be easy for Andy Dirks. 1 down. And here is that Game 5 performance here at Yankee Stadium.
Well, when he's going good, he has that cutter that he throws on the outside part of the plate. He can backdoor it or throw it on the outside part. Good changeup and sinker too, John.
Yeah, he's got tremendous movement on his fastball. It's why most of his second most percentage of strikeouts looking in baseball. He fools the hitters. What looks like a ball, late movement turns into a strike, and normally strike 3.
Here's Robinson Cano, the number 3 hitter. And you talk so much about the fact that, okay, it's a new series, you wipe the slate clean. Nobody happier to wipe the slate clean than Robbie Cano, who hit .091 against the Orioles in that 5-gamer.
Well, when you've been good for a long part of your last 3 years, you get a bypass every once in a while, and he certainly got that bypass. Those are not Cano-like numbers. Don't look for the pitchers to see that as being easy.
That's in the air to left. Dirks goes back. Short of the track. 2 down.
Ernie, this has been a strange series. Everyone knew coming in the format was different. There weren't going to be traditional off days. The Yankees with rain delays, train problems, and of course they have no off day. They had the best record in baseball. They're having to bring a guy back on short days rest, so they're a little bit weary when in the postseason, Ron, you get a day off in between every once in a while.
Yeah, to kind of recharge the batteries. But think about it this way. The reason that these Yankee hitters got a pass, the benching of A-Rod got a pass, because they won the series.
Yeah.
This has been a long winter here in this town.
Cleanup hitter is Mark Teixeira. He bats with Jeter at first. And Fister looks him back. No balls, 1 strike to Teixeira, who was 6 out of 17 in the opening series. But team-wide, it was a struggle against Baltimore.
Yeah, if you cover that up and you don't know which team that is, you're saying that team didn't keep they're not playing.
That's right.
But historic night from Ibanez. Your ace delivers 2 wins. You're in this spot, and you got a chance, as you said, Ernie, to kind of wipe the slate clean. but no day off to rest your brain from slumping hitters. So they got to get right back into it after a celebration last night.
Pfister way ahead 0-2 and taking a lot of time. Teixeira's going to step out.
You know, Jim Leland said today, when you give away a game in a Game 5 series, that you usually lose that series. Well, Baltimore did. The Tigers did not, losing that game when they were winning with the Coco Crisp hit.
Pfister trying to come inside the back door there and missed. Ball and 2 strikes. There's Justin Verlander, who was absolutely brilliant in Game 5 against the Oakland A's.
You know, if they were home, you know what you do after a start like that? You go to the mall. You go everywhere.
He doesn't want to be cited.
You just go out and enjoy whatever you want to do.
On a play down the left side by Teixeira.
You have a dig me day, right?
I guess so. Well, he'll have his day when they announce his name in Game 3 at Detroit. They will go absolutely nuts, as they should, because it was a marvelous performance.
Smoltz, you must have spent a lot of time at the mall in your career.
Yeah, but that was the days when I had my jersey on. I should have gone without it.
2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 out. Tapped up toward first, but foul.
Well, we talked what New York's days were like. Detroit had to fly home from Oakland, and then they had the precarious situation of waiting to see if they were going to start at home or get back on a flight and come to New York, and obviously they're here. So strange happenings in what is a new format and some kinks that need to be worked out, but they're both glad to be here.
Yeah, I got to New York about 1:45 in the morning. Pfister nibbled at the corner and missed, and it's a full count to Teixeira.
Well, it's better than the option of having a tee time in the Detroit area today,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Raul Ibanez, the Game 3 hero, waits on deck. And we'll do it again.
Saw a curveball there with 3-2. Now every team has advanced scouts, and what they do is they go and basically meet with the team when they face the team they're going to play and tell them what happened the series before. Well, what happened the series before is there was a lot of pitches out of the zone with 2 strikes, and especially 3-2, and the Yankee hitters did not do very well.
Gerald Laird putting down fingers for Doug Pfister as Jeter takes off, and that's ball 4. They're at first and second with 2 out. Take you back to Game 3. Raul Ibanez pinch hitting for A-Rod, ties the game in the 9th, and he wasn't through. 12th inning. Doesn't get any more dramatic than this. Off the left-hander Brian Mattis. And an absolute frenzy in this ballpark, courtesy of Raul Ibanez. Takes inside 1-0. He's the DH tonight. Went 4 for 9 in that Orioles series with those 2 home runs, knocked in 3.
Early on, that's a tough situation for a pitcher right there. When you don't get that, you're trying to find out where it is. And that meaning the strike zone. You want to know which side has leniency. Where are you looking to get that if you go to pitch? And right there, that caught our pitch tracks, but did not catch the strike zone of Mr. Kellogg.
Ibanez is such a great story. A guy who really didn't come into his own until his late 20s. And now really maybe in the fall of his career. Well, boy, what a night.
2 balls and a strike.
I mentioned he throws across his body, but what he's doing early on in the first inning is he's pulling his sinker. And when you pull your sinker, it's not going to react the way you want it to. You want to start it on the line and actually move it away from the hitter.
Well, the plate's still jumping for Doug Pfister here in the first. Walked Jeter, retired Ichiro and Cano on fly balls to left, then walked Teixeira. It's 3-1 to Ibanez with A-Rod waiting on deck. And Rodriguez will come to the plate with the bases loaded here in the first.
Well, 2 visits in this inning so far, from the catcher Laird and now from the pitching coach Jones. And the thing about this Yankee lineup, almost like they've rebooted it in this first inning of being patient, making sure they get the ball in the strike zone, and if not swinging at the pitches. The result, the bases loaded.
But you had to know this was going to happen in the first inning. A-Rod comes up, the bases are loaded. His manager has a gut feeling, puts him in there.
Woo. John, too corny. Send it back to rewrite.
I know, who's producing this? Thornton Wilder? I mean, you just don't believe things like this can happen in the first inning.
Benched in Game 5, the clincher against the Orioles. In the 6th hole tonight, Rodriguez swinging at the first pitch. Peralta with a great stop. The throw, they got him. Sam Holbrook made the call. Said they got the force. And Pfister gets out of trouble. Another look. Johnny Peralta with a tremendous stop for the force at second.
Play by Peralta in the hole. The toss to Infante, and watch second base umpire Sam Holbrook. Perfecto. Tough call. Got it right.
Delman Young swinging at the first pitch from Andy Pettit. Here in the top half of the second. That was a huge out. And what a stop by Peralta. And a close play. Really looked like he was coming off the bag, but you saw by the replay it was the right call. Ball and a strike to the Tigers DH. Delman Young had himself a postseason last year, 2011, 5 home runs in the postseason.
Well, the biggest thing is he knows. I mean, certainly now that they added Prince Fielder, what's going to happen traditionally, they're going to make guys like him and Peralta beat you. And so some guys love the challenge. Some guys see it as more opportunity to fail and expose.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And Young goes down swinging for the first out. Play TBS Social Dugout presented by Samsung Galaxy S3. Predict plays before they happen, score points, compete against your friends, and earn rewards. Now here's Johnny Peralta.
Peralta is a guy that slipped a little bit this season, had a monster year, career year last year. Still, though, 63 RBIs for a shortstop is huge.
Shattered his bat. Well, we've seen a few of those flying around this ballpark. Saw Jobber Chamberlain get hit the other night, right on the elbow.
Well, I know Derek's great at everything. He's going to try jarts now, lawn darts.
That's pretty good contact, and the bat just explodes. And they're getting more and more distance, which is something that.
Peralta, a great glove man at short for the Tigers. Second among AL shortstops in fielding percentage. And he will give you some pop, too. Ball and 2 strikes. 13 homers, as you said, knocked in 63 runs this year.
Only .214 against left-handers. I think that average would be a little bit higher.
Andy Pettit has struck out the last 3 Tigers he's faced.
Well, this is just his cutter that we talked about, a harder one. His cutters turn sometimes more into a slurve, but when he gets it in the right spot, you see the downward and it goes attacks the back leg of a right-hander. You have to. You don't see the ball very well off of Andy Pettit. It's a big guy that, besides the stare, doesn't show the ball very well.
Andy Dirks takes a strike. 0-1. To Rodriguez at third. Easy inning for Pettit. We go to the bottom half of the second. Nick Swisher will lead it off for the Yankees against Doug Pfister. who didn't allow a hit in the first inning but had to work out of a bases loaded jam.
Set an American League all-time record with 9 strikeouts in a row.
Talking about Fister.
Yeah. Of all the people that pitched in the history of the 9 in a row
against the Kansas City Royals back in September. Here's the 1-1. Cabrera should have room. 1 down.
Well, one of the themes we've seen from both pitchers on both sides so far, John, is a lot of pitching inside, a lot of pulled balls from the right-handers off Pettit, a lot of jam shots so far from the Yankee hitters.
Well, here's Curtis Granderson, who went 3 for 19 in that series against the Orioles, but finished on a high note.
Yeah, one of the rare hanging pitches, and he didn't miss it.
43 home runs in the regular season, tied for second behind Miguel Cabrera.
Well, Kevin Long and him, 16 pitches swung out of the strike zone.
The thing about Granderson, he hasn't really hit for a high average, but those home runs have come at opportune times when you're trying to add on runs. All 6 of his home runs in the postseason have come from the 7th inning on.
In the air and in the seats, 3-2.
Better be ready to hit. Doug Fister works quick.
Payoff pitch due to Granderson, the number 8 hitter in the Yankee lineup. And he goes down swinging. First strikeout for Doug Fister. Stay one step ahead. Get alerts whenever something big happens with your teams. Check out the Team Stream app from Bleacher Report on the App Store or Google Play.
One thing I gotta be thinking right there is he's in between pitches.
Yeah.
That pitch was right there that he normally smokes. 3-2 pitch. He swung at, as I was mentioning, 16 pitches outside the strike zone he swung at, and they're trying to tighten that up as a group.
Russell Martin takes a strike. Go ahead.
That 16 pitches was just Granderson. That's a lot in a series.
Martin checked his swing, and Rob Drake down at first said he did not go. Ball and a strike.
Well, certainly the Yankee hitters, when you're facing a pitcher like Fister, at some point now Martin has broken his bat and will get another one. But this is a pitcher that you consciously have to go up there, and if you feel rushed, you've got to step out of the box and try to quiet him down, slow him down just a little bit. Don't let him get into where he feels comfortable every pitch and starts getting you uncomfortable.
The Yankees had a franchise record 245 home runs in the regular season, hit only 4 in the ALDS against Baltimore. We told you about Granderson last night. Of course, Ibanez with his heroics in Game 3, and the other came from Russell Martin in Game 1. And there's a line drive and a 2-out single to left.
And that's what I mean. You look at some of these statistics and you scratch your head. Yankees scored 6 runs before the 9th inning as we look at this hanging breaking ball for a base hit. And then the Tigers only had 6 RBIs on their first 11 runs. Help with some defense and some errors, but these are 2 teams, believe me, they can mash the baseball.
Here's the leadoff hitter, Derek Jeter, who led all of baseball with 216 hits this season. Just 3 shy of his career best, which came when he was a 25-year-old. He's 38 now. Jeter takes a strike. 1-1.
Well, it's been A brilliant couple of seasons for Jeter. Last year, of course, his 3,000th hit, a home run here at Yankee Stadium, and this year he's passed 9 Hall of Famers in hits alone. 9.
Fister ahead. A ball and 2 strikes. It got to the point, Ron, it really seemed like every day, depending on what he did, if he drove in a run, if he scored a run, if he got a hit, he would pass a legendary name in the baseball record books. The 1-2. Vintage Jeter. 2 out, hit to right.
If you think you're going to get Derek Jeter out with 2 strikes inside, you have a chance if you're waist down. You cannot have a pitch up in the strike zone, because he'll do this, John.
Well, this is when you look at his spray chart and you cover up his name, you'd think it's a right-hander or left-hander for sure, because he's got over 90-some hits to right field. But this is exactly what aids him. The pitch in is outstanding, and look at that. It's a full season there. 200th career postseason hit.
Like you were saying, Ernie, just another number down.
Exactly. Here's Ichiro with 2 on and 2 out. The former Mariner really provided a spark after the trade to New York. Hit over 300. Stole some bases. This one's to short. Peralta charging. And he's late with the throw. The bases are loaded. Ichiro's still got wheels. And he legged it out.
Ichiro might be the only player in baseball who can hit and run when no one's on, because that's what he does. Swings the bat out of the box, and no chance for Peralta to get him at first base. Safe easily.
Well, and the big thing too, Jeter knows that, so he gets to second for no chance of a force.
Still got pretty good tread on those 38-year-old wheels. And here's Robinson Cano. We talked about his struggles against the Orioles, but he finished the regular season with a 9-game hitting streak. And he hit .615 during that stretch. 9 straight multi-hit games.
24 for 39. That's not supposed to happen, but it wasn't the same for Cano in the postseason against Baltimore.
Cano waiting on a 1-0. And now he's going to step out on Fister, who's just now getting the word from Jeff Kellogg. Game 1, ALDS against the Tigers. Al Albuquerque giving one up, a grand slam to Cano. Fister's ready, so's Cano. Runners lead from every base. Ball and a strike.
Well, this is a statistic you really don't want to see as a pitcher, and with it, bases loaded statistic. Well, he's done it twice, and coming into this game, a 100 batting average. That's it. So he's been pretty good with the bases loaded. He had a great defensive play to bail him out of the first. Now he's testing that theory in the second inning.
Cano, despite his troubles in the first series, did lead the team with 4 RBIs. He bats with the bases loaded and 2 out. He takes inside 2-1.
When you're a major league pitcher and you don't have a good batting average against with bases loaded, you become a AAA pitcher real quick.
A line drive right off of Fister. Can Peralta make the play? He can. Bases loaded in the first 2 innings, and Peralta with dazzling plays and a bit of luck here on the deflection. And the Tigers dodge another bullet. Garcia swinging at the first pitch. Flies out to Swisher in right. I mean, the Tigers living dangerously here at Yankee Stadium in Game 1. Bases were loaded on walks in the first. Great play by Peralta, bails him out. 3 2-out singles load the bases, and then the deflection, and Peralta makes the play. So here in the top of the third, we are still scoreless. And Gerald Laird stepping in against Andy Pettitte.
Interesting shot we had of Prince Fielder talking to Garcia, almost like saying, you know what, we just had a pitcher hit with a line drive. You're up at the plate leading off, and you swing at the first pitch. It might be a real good time to take a couple of pitches and try to work the count. Veteran leadership.
Over for a strike, 1 and 2. Laird stays alive, ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, when you see the catcher put his finger down and kind of make a circular motion with his finger, that's the cutter. That's what Andy Pettitte has been so famous for, and why he's broke so many bats and approaching his 20th win if he gets one tonight in the postseason.
Breaking bats and records at the same time. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Again, Pettitte looking for postseason win number 20. Already has the record with 19. The 2-2 on the way.
What's interesting about this start tonight for Gerald Laird, the catcher. Alex Avila, of course, is their #1 catcher. Laird, the right-hander against the lefty Pettitte, but he hit .382 against righties this year and .204 against lefties.
Pettitte has not walked a leadoff hitter in his last 14 postseason starts.
You see, I just feed off of pitcher's mannerisms. You see that little kick there. He just knows that's a strike, and he's getting ready for the catcher to throw it to third, but he didn't get the call.
Well, here comes a 3-2 to Laird leading off the third. Well hit right up the middle, base hit. Second hit of the game for the Tigers. Peak performance brought to you by Nissan, makers of the all-new Altima. And you see those postseason numbers. The strikeout leaders, Smoltz,
not for long.
Andy Pettitte, hot on your heels.
Yeah, not for long.
Save that in the truck, will you? Give John a copy of that to take home while it still applies.
I don't know if you give Justin Verlander a few more shots at it.
Now, was he need about 5 more?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just been as dominating as you could be, and 22 strikeouts in 2 games in the division series.
Ball and a strike to Austin Jackson.
It's hard to believe with all of his success, postseason starts, that the last time he started a game 1 in the postseason, National League Championship, was for the Astros in 2005 when his Astros lost at St. Louis.
Pettitte ahead, a ball and 2 strikes. Avisail Garcia started the inning swinging at the first pitch and flying out to right. Laird followed with a 1-out single, and Austin Jackson steps out as Pettitte prepares to deliver a 1-2.
Who started the inning?
Avisail Garcia rolls off the toe.
Wow, you are good.
To Jeter. 6-4-3. We head to the bottom half of the third in the Bronx.
He's back in there. You know, it's interesting. He has changed to sleeves. Wonder if he's got a little something, you know, heat pack or something on his arm to protect it.
Mark Teixeira with the shift on, finds an opening and leads off the third with a single.
Well, another one that's this is a better pitch, and Mark Teixeira has been swinging the bat pretty good. One of the few Yankees that has, and beats the shift. Sinker that's up and didn't go down, stayed lateral. And I think with the Smiley in the bullpen, they won't wait very long if they see this has affected his pitching.
Fourth Yankee hit comes here in the top or bottom half of the third as Ibanez pops up in the infield, and Peralta makes the play for the first out. Well, here's Alex Rodriguez. Came to the plate in the first with the bases loaded, hit a bullet, and Johnny Peralta made a great stop and got a force at second.
Interesting how a new series can change the fans. Lots of claps for Alex.
They're wiping the slate clean as well. Teixeira with a lead at first.
One big difference here, philosophy of the Detroit Tigers over the Baltimore Orioles. Prince Fielder will hold on to Teixeira at first base.
He swiped a bag the other night. Rodriguez takes a strike, 1-1.
That's one of the bigger problems. I think more so than the ability to not drive the ball and hit for extra base hit power.
You know, it's interesting. If you're a pitcher, you can get a chance. Even if you don't strike out people anymore, if you still win 18 to 20, you're a successful pitcher. But if you're a power hitter who's approaching all great numbers, singles just aren't going to do it.
53 pitches for Pfister as he works here in the bottom half of the third. Rodriguez to short. Peralta, there's one, there's two. So much for that clean slate. Postseason.tv. Get started now at MLB.com.
You know, if you're Andy Pettitte, you must think you got about a 3-0 lead right now. And you look back on the board, it's still zeros with all the action that his hitters and the bases they've occupied.
Here's Omar Infante leading off the top half of the fourth. Rounded out to third his first time. Ball and a strike. Infante looks lefties pretty well. 317 on the season. He's been an all-star before. And he steps out on Pettitte with the count 1-2. Rounded slowly to third. Rodriguez on the run. Got him by a half a step. Let us take a moment and check in with Craig Sager. Segs.
Well, we saw Jim Leland go out to the home plate umpire prior to the bottom of the third inning. He talked to Jeff Kellogg, and he said Doug Pfister was hit on the wrist. We do not know if he can go. He says he can, so we're going to put him out there. But if he has to come out, I want to use an injury replacement. That, of course, would give the reliever more time to warm up. Now, Pfister was hit on the top of the hand on that Robbie Cano ground ball. He says he's all right. The training staff checked it out. He's gone to those long sleeves to provide padding because he says he doesn't want to get hit again. EJ.
All right, thank you, Segs. Here's Miguel Cabrera, who takes a strike. He singled his first time. And he falls behind 0-2. 330, 44 homers, 139 RBIs. An incredible Triple Crown season. That's hit hard. Jeter with the dive. And throws him out. Boy, have we seen some defense already tonight.
Well, they definitely have a play, and Jeter does this so often. I mean, you just come to expect it. He had a little rough series with the wet field in Baltimore, but here at home, he's saying, I'm not getting old.
He knows his runner, takes his time, gets the grip, and tosses it to first base. Again, that left side of the infield getting peppered with grounders.
Fielder grounds one up the middle, and that's a 2-out single for the Tigers.
Well, they definitely have a plan against Cabrera. They tried to stay in the whole time, and actually Andy got one out over the plate. That's why Cabrera hit it so hard. But they're definitely saying, okay, you know, nobody on. This is how we're going to attack you until you make us change. And he will, by the way.
Delmon Young struck out his first time. He bats with a runner at first and 2 down here in the 4th, and Pettit throws over. Fielder was only off about a step and a half.
I'll bet you there's a good portion of guys that do get picked off are the ones that are saying, look, I got a 2-foot lead, leave me alone. And then they start to go thinking he's going home, and he's picked them off.
Just over here minding my own business, leave me alone. Oh, and 1 to Delmon Young. Young has hit well against Pettit in his career. 13 out of 24 coming in. That's a 542 clip. He struck out his first time, and he's behind 0-2.
Interesting on that 0-2 pitch when he had Cabrera down 0-2. Got too much of the plate. He was going to make sure that didn't happen again. Nice block by Martin.
Popped up behind the plate. Martin makes the play, and that retires the side for Detroit. We're going to the bottom of the 4th in Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. And Nick Swisher leads it off for New York. He fouled out to Cabrera his first time, and is now 2 for 19 in this postseason.
So far in this game, the Yankee hitters for the early part of it have had better takes. I know that mean a lot to a lot of people, but it's a good sign.
Popped him up behind short. Peralta back, and calling Dirks calls him off for the out. It is time to talk, brought to you by Charles Schwab. Moments ago, we spoke with the Tigers pitching coach, Jeff Jones. Hey, Jeff, we saw the replay. Looked like a pretty clean shot that Doug Fister took right there on the wrist. Where exactly did it get him?
It got him just on the inside of the wrist, and it was a pretty good shot, but Doug wants to stay in the game. He's a gamer, and I'm sure it'll be sore tomorrow, but hopefully it won't tighten up too much tonight.
Jeff, for a rhythm pitcher, it looked like the first couple innings maybe just quite not in rhythm. I mean, how does he find it when he tries to get back into rhythm?
Well, you're exactly right. His rhythm was a little bit off. His tempo was a little bit slow. He's an up-tempo guy, and that's what we talked about after the first inning. Tried to speed the tempo up and get into a better rhythm.
Our thanks to Jeff Jones. And guys, you tell me from your perspective, you take a shot like that on your pitching arm, this one on the wrist, and how's that going to impact you?
Well, there's some things that hurt and some things that break. And in this case, you know, obviously he's got to have some kind of bruise or contusion on his arm, but not enough that it hurt anywhere to throw because he's thrown just as well as he did the last inning.
Well, the cold weather doesn't help. Let's just say that.
3-1 pitch to Granderson is in the air to center. Austin Jackson, the guy that Granderson was traded for a few years back, makes the play for the second out.
And I will say this, he cannot keep pitching behind in the count.
Yeah.
I know the Yankee hitters are not on their game, but it's a quicker way to find your game.
Well, both Swisher and Granderson missed the ball right down the middle. I think when you look at Pfister, though, if you're a major league pitcher and you're in a postseason game, the last thing you want to do is have a hitter who just hit you with a line drive, knock you out of the game.
Here's Russell Martin, didn't mean to. And back in the second inning, Pfister got the first 2 outs quickly, as he has here in the fourth, and then 3 straight singles loaded the bases. Then he took the line drive off the wrist that Peralta turned into an out to keep the Yankees off the board. Breaking pitch missed.
And the other thing it does, he's all about changing speeds as you watched him. Curveball, changeup, sinker. And you want to have the feel. You know, if you lose that feel in your hand or in your wrist, it gets a little bit more difficult to spin the ball and be connected, as Jonesy said, with that rhythm.
To second. Easy play for Infante, and there is a 1-2-3 inning for Doug Pfister. We're through 4, scoreless in the Bronx. Leads it off for the Tigers. And he's the main reason that this game is still scoreless. A couple of fielding gems to bail the Tigers out of trouble spots. He struck out his first time and waits on an 0-1 from Andy Pettitte.
Andy Pettitte's got a pretty good stretch right now going of throwing that first pitch curveball for a strike, then going in further. Now he's going to throw a little changeup away. Hard to go up there as a hitter and look for a first pitch curveball. It's just something the pitcher can get an open strike anytime he wants it when he executes.
Count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Haven't seen many hitters who can sit on a first pitch curveball. The best that I pitched against was Albert Bell. He could hit it a mile. And that was supposed to be a get me over curve.
There's a bullet foul. Past third. And well hit into left. Peralta has a leadoff single here in the 5th. Time to talk, brought to you by Charles Schwab. Moments ago we spoke with Yankees skipper Joe Girardi. Well, Joe, you can't say you haven't had some opportunities so far. Bases loaded in the first and second.
Yeah, and the problem is we hit 2 balls hard and we didn't get anything to show for it. Alex hit a ball really hard, and Peralta makes a great play at short, and then Robbie hits one off the pitcher that's up the middle usually. You know, we could very easily have 4 runs. We don't, but we got to stay after him.
Joe, you've managed him in the postseason. You've caught him in the postseason. What makes Andy so special?
His concentration level, it's amazing. He's able to focus on what he has to do in each single pitch and never really gets unnerved. And he's got outstanding stuff as well.
Pettitte has allowed 4 hits as he works here in the 5th. The latest, that leadoff single to Peralta.
You know, one of the things that's overlooked, don't you think, John, that in the postseason, regular season, any season, playground, whatever, he neutralizes the running game with that move to first.
Yeah, big time. Better than anybody.
Ran it inside and missed. 2 balls and no strikes. Dirks on a tear as the regular season ended. Hit .351 over his last 21 games and hit nearly .300 in the 5-game series against Oakland. Rounded out his first time. In the air, behind short. Jeter is back. Ichiro makes the call and makes the play. 1 down. Take a closer look at Andy Pettit, who is 40 years old and playing the postseason before you're 24 and after you're 40. How about that list? Avisail Garcia. Try it, John. Avisail Garcia.
I like it.
That's not how you. That's not. Runner at first and one down. Your piece of work. 0-2. Garcia swung at the first pitch his first time and flied out to right.
A lot of the same mannerisms of one of the guys he
without
idolizes.
question.
That would be Mr. Cabrera.
He's a spitting image. And he waits on an 0-2. Checked his swing, or did he? Call is made by Jeff Kellogg. And 2 down.
Home umpire has got a tough job to do in calling strikes. I just don't see how he can see both. It would have been a lot easier to check, but he called it. And that'll be a strikeout for Andy Pettit.
Boy, awfully close play. Like you said, if it's that close, you usually would want to see him refer to the first baseman, Rob Drake. Although when you're a rookie, sometimes those things happen.
Yeah, sometimes they do.
There's the number 9 hitter, Gerald Laird, who singled his first time and was erased in a double play to end the third. That was the 62nd pitch for Pettit as he works here in the 5th.
So far, pretty good by Pettit. Not too many stressful innings. Matter of fact, not much at all really going on.
Well, he falls behind Laird 3-0. The automatic is over, 3-1.
Andy pitched very similar to this in game 2 in Baltimore. He was not happy with himself because he let one pitch get over the middle of the plate that resulted in a couple runs, but I thought that was just being a little too critical.
Line drive right at Jeter. That does it for the Tigers in the top half of the 5th. Game 1 of the American League Championship Series, and it's the top of the New York order, Derek Jeter. Tell you what, Doug Fister, he's walked 3 in this game, all of them in the first. He was in trouble with the bases loaded, but a great defensive play by Peralta got him out of it. And then they loaded him in the second with 2 out. Looked like he was going to have an easy inning. And then took a line drive off the wrist. Peralta made another great play.
Fortunately, I say fortunately, his stress came with 2 outs. Where one play like that or 2 plays like that can get you out of it.
Ball and a strike to Jeter.
You sure this is not the National League type game? I mean, we're seeing a lot of National League low scoring pitchers duel this last couple series. I'm not used to seeing zeros like this in Yankee Stadium.
3 one-run games in that Orioles-Yankees series, and aside from that first game that wound up 7-2, the finals were 3-2, 3-2 in 12 innings, 2-1 in 13, and 3-1 in the clincher, in which CC Sabathia was absolutely brilliant. Jeter waiting on a 2-2 as he leads off the 5th. To first, Fielder gobbles it up and wins the race, 1 down.
Not an easy play, because this ball coming off the bat is going to have a lot of spin working down the line. But Prince catches it right in the pocket of the glove, and after a little right turn, Derek was running hard, but he's going to have to slow up at some point.
Yeah.
See him wincing. That the right foot still a problem. Left foot still a problem.
Yeah, last month of the season it was a bone bruise on the ankle, and then in the Baltimore series fouled a ball off the top of his foot and then continued to do that 3 or 4 more times, it seemed. And he DH'd one night, was back at short the next. Fly ball by Ichiro to Austin Jackson. Quickly 2 up and 2 down. Who will become a legend this October? You can cast your postseason vote at MLBFanCave.com. Here's Robinson Cano. He was the guy who lined the ball off of Pfister to end the second. It was a bullet, too.
Yeah, close play. Live. Might have looked safe. Replay. Maybe tiny bit safe. The umpire live. It's a tough call.
I don't know how Cano didn't get hit by this ball. This pitch right at him. Somehow missed him.
Cano takes a strike count even, 1-1. So Cano now 2 for 24 in the postseason. Just couldn't buy one after hitting that ball well in the second. Way out in front, a ball and 2 strikes.
That's the best changeup he's thrown arm action wise. Stayed over the middle of the plate, didn't cut, went away from the left-handed hitter. When he's on, that's what you're going to see a lot of. He'll back him up too. He's not afraid to throw back-to-back changeups, but he's also not afraid to throw 5 different pitches in 5 different locations.
Fielder again. This one he bobbles, flips to Pfister for the out. Another 1-2-3 inning for Doug Pfister. We're through 5. That ball is fair, just inside the bag by Austin Jackson. He's at second, and he's digging for third, and he'll make it without a throw.
Of all the times a fan touches a ball, would have been a double. Nobody touched it there, allowing him to be a triple.
You're so right, John. This is the one time that you'd want your home team fans to touch the baseball. As he hits this down the line, this tracer just bounces completely right, and this little adjunct that comes out keeps it from going back into the field and just rests it up against the pad. And by the time Swisher got to it, no chance at the speed of Jackson. Just stays inside the line. Good job by Drake of doing the Olay. And watch, it comes right where the bat boy is and just sits there right in the corner.
And Fonte cut right through it. 0-1.
Bat boy gets out of the way. The bucket's there. Hey, come on, touch it. It's a double. Grab it. No.
You're sending the wrong message out there,
that's
Roddy.
right. That's right.
Shortest triple in postseason history has Jackson at third with nobody out. Fly ball to right. Swisher getting in position to throw, and Jackson will not tag.
You know why not?
Have something to do with the guy coming to the plate right now?
Ah, yes, it does.
Well, it is certainly that. And, you know, 1 out, you might take a chance. But Swisher got in great position, was moving in on the baseball, caught it there on his right-hand side, which made it a little easier. But that was going to be a one-hop, perfect throw to the plate.
And this is why you got Prince Fielder. For this situation right here, they're not going to allow Cabrera to do anything. They feel like they can double up Prince if he hits it on the ground. And so in essence, you create more opportunities with having him be walked. So the guys behind him have to do their job on the Tigers lineup.
First walk of the night for Andy Pettitte. It's intentional, and it puts runners at first and third with one out here in the 6th.
He gets in good position right here. You can see he's totally behind the ball. He's not deep. This is not that deep anyways. I think you could almost throw somebody out from the fence at this field.
Well, the only thing that works against, as you see Jackson, discretion, better part of valor, is when you walk Cabrera here with runners on third and less than 2 outs. Prince Fielder this year, 22 for 29, 76%. Pretty amazing numbers, and that's how you drive in over 100.
First time tonight that the Tigers have had 2 runners on.
Well, Afonte's really good at staying inside the ball, and I thought he was a little anxious right there, not taking the pitch he wanted and taking a high pitch and going to right field. A missed opportunity to this point. First chance for the Tigers, and then didn't get it done.
Fielder waiting on Pettitte and takes inside 1-0.
Now, if the count doesn't go very well, as you look at Prince's RBIs versus left-handed pitcher, the count doesn't go very well. It's not out of the question for Pettitte to walk him as well unintentionally.
A bullet up the middle, and the Detroit Tigers have broken on top here in the 6th. Prince Fielder delivers another ribby off of a left-handed pitcher.
Well, another ribby, his second hit of the day. And Prince Fielder, one of those crossover guys. Left-handed pitchers do not bother him. Fastball away. We talked about the numbers. 76% of the time he drives runners in from third base with less than 2 outs. That's why you get those RBIs.
You don't get the ball inside. I know he invites you to throw it inside, but if you don't get the ball inside, it's awfully tough to get Prince Fielder out.
Delman Young swinging at the first pitch. Swisher with a long run has to play it on a hop. They will throw to second, and a run will score as Cabrera crosses for a 2-0 lead.
Listen, that was either going to be a double play or that was going to be a run scored, because Cabrera never stopped. He either had the perfect read or he said the heck with it.
He had the perfect read. We tend to think of Cabrera as just a one facet kind of player, that he's an offensive player. I talked about him making only 1 error in his last 36 games, including the postseason. But Swisher's playing extremely deep. He read that off the bat, and he was going right off the bat. It's Fielder who had a tough time with the read.
But I'm not so sure here. If Swisher knows that he's going, you might dive for that ball. I think he's thinking there's no way that Cabrera's going on that the whole way. And of course, you're seeing him go. At this point, it's like, whatever. I'm either doubled off or I'm scoring. And he took the risk, the right risk.
You know, I had my eyes on Cabrera up here watching him, and he looked back as soon as that ball was hit. And his initial read was no way Swisher was going to get to it. Maybe his misread, though. It's so shallow in right field here. You can almost get to any baseball.
So Fielder at second, Young at first. Johnny Peralta is 1 out of 2, singled his last time. The Tigers have erupted, or are, here in the 6th.
Well, you think about that read. Prince barely gets the second because he's the closest person to Swisher. So in his mind, he had to think there was some doubt. No need for him to get carried away anyways. But by the time they threw to second, Cabrera was close to scoring at the plate.
So you're probably thinking that Swisher thought that all the runners were just going base to base.
Yeah, absolutely. If not, you get to the point where you make up your mind and dive, and then you know you've got a double play.
A ball and a strike. 1 out, 2 on. Peralta takes a strike, 1 and 2. After 5 shutout innings, Andy Pettitte running into trouble here in the 6th. Tigers looking for more.
If I know Andy Pettit like I think I do, he just gets away right there with a ball over the middle of the plate. And in years past, he'll bury that more and make the adjustment from pitch to pitch. He'll try to get the ball down off of where that ball was up in the strike zone.
The Yankees have Derek Lowe up in the bullpen. Pettit trying to work his way out of trouble here in the 6th. That's inside 2-2.
And that was a little bit bigger of a correction. I mean, as a pitcher, you know when you've gotten away with something and the hitter's maybe looking for something else and just fouls it off. But to a pitcher, it's like, whoa, okay, he just missed that. Let me correct it. And sometimes you overcorrect by pulling it, trying to force it in that area.
3 hits in the inning for the Tigers. 2 runs and 2 on.
Tigers probably only in this position because of the fine defensive plays in the first 2 innings by Peralta.
Tigers on the year, they were pretty darn good with runners in scoring position from an average standpoint in the 280s. The Yankees on the flip side not so good, but they did hit a lot of home runs, which makes up for it.
Here comes the 2-2. Peralta fouled it off his foot. And the count stays 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tigers didn't get a base runner past first in the first 5 innings, but they've strung a few hits together here in the 6th, and Pettit trying to work out of it. Fielder's at second. Young is at first.
You saw those numbers on Peralta, 7 for 23 as Martin comes out to speak to Pettit. Well, the Tigers have been great all season long. In fact, best in the American League, John, as you were talking about, with a 286 average. That is extremely high with runners in scoring position.
You normally don't see these kind of averages, 338, 356, 367 with runners in scoring position, but they took advantage of their opportunities.
Fielder at second. Young at first. And there is ball 4 to Peralta, and they are loaded.
Andy, on a couple occasions in this inning, his arm angle does go lower when he tries to throw a changeup or slider. It's gotten just a little bit lower, dipping as we call it, when you try to make that pitch on the outer half or pull it in. And I think for this situation, you know, get a little time. They got a Derek Lowe in the bullpen, but regroup, make a tough pitch, and try to induce a double play.
You're right, John. You want to get a ground ball here. Martin and Jeter listening in. Pettit want to get that ground ball and turn it. The alternative, though, you're going to have Alex Rodriguez pinched in. You're going to have Teixeira pinch in, a ball to them. They're going to come to the plate. Of course, back to Pettit. He's going to come to the plate. If you don't have a double play up the middle and you're coming with Prince on third, even Jeter and Cano can come to the plate for a force.
Andy Dirks is 0 for 2. He bats with the bases loaded. Was fooled, and it's 0-1.
You'd like to see a hitter, if you're going to be committed, go ahead and completely commit. That was, even if he put that one in play, it would have been not hit very hard.
And Pettit ahead, 0-2. Going to take a fly ball at pretty good depth to get Fielder home from third. Great job by Martin.
Yeah, why not? I mean, he swung at 2 pitches down. You've got a couple pitches to play with. Try to see if he's just swinging when it comes out of your hand. We saw that all last series here in New York with Baltimore. I mean, guys were swinging and making it less stressful for the pitcher to have to make perfect pitches.
Tigers lead from every base. The pitch to Dirks. Blooper behind second. Jeter right there. Big out for Pettit. And that was certainly ordinary effort on that infield fly. So they're still loaded with 2 down.
He swung. He's been aggressive. 2 at bats. No need to. The big thing here for a young player is can he control that emotions and get a pitch to hit. Pettit hasn't had to throw him too many strikes without him aggressiveness at the plate.
Avisail Garcia swinging at the first pitch and pops it up. Cano takes charge and squeezes it. Tigers leave them loaded, but they break the scoreless tie. To face Doug Fister here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Yankees had excellent scoring opportunities in each of the first 2 innings, could not cash in. The Tigers' best chance came in the top of the 6th. And they did score twice. Into the shift to Teixeira grounds. A little bobble and he will not be able to make the play. Omar Infante, normally sure-handed, and couldn't get it out of his glove.
Well, you saw the shift. The whole left side is wide open. This one's deep into the outfield grass. And his fingers outside the glove trying to grab the ball. You're not going to be able to grab it that way.
Well, a lot of top spin, feeling it in a position you're not familiar with. Long throw.
His index finger was on the other side of the glove, which wasn't allowing him to get in and get that baseball. Sometimes that happens.
Now here's Raul Ibanez, who takes a strike. Scored an E4.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, first error of the night by the Tigers, who made only 1 in their series against Oakland. Chopper over first. That's a fair ball. Teixeira is at third, and he will hold there. They're at second and third with nobody out.
Well, you always talk about wanting to get the hitter to bounce it into the ground. Well, Ibanez did, and this ball just ricocheted almost off the plate. And you see Prince Fielder pointing, saying that ball landed foul. It doesn't matter. It went over the bag fair. And by the time it landed, you see the first base umpire, Rob Drake, ducked underneath it and saw that it went over the bag. He's got his eye right on it and calls it fair. Fielder does not think so.
Well, after falling behind 2-0 in the top half of this inning, the Yankees with 2 runners in scoring position, nobody out for Rodriguez.
Well, the one thing about this lineup, whenever you make up your lineup during the game, pushing A-Rod down now has put A-Rod and Swisher back to back. You see the numbers on A-Rod, 1 for his last 19. Well, Swisher's 1 for his last 34, and they are back to back in this lineup.
The 0-1. No balls and 2 strikes. Rodriguez batted with the bases loaded in the first, was robbed by a diving Johnny Peralta. He grounded into a double play in the third.
Well, the biggest thing here for Fister is not create a bigger inning. You can take outs and trade runs for outs. Just don't try to be heroic and get out of an inning sometimes without giving up a run. Next thing you know, you've given up 4.
And Rodriguez goes down swinging.
Well, right here, this is, needless to say, a combination of both. Good pitching and a guy who's struggling. Starts him off with a curveball down in the zone. See the break on it. There's the pitch right there he could have done something with, and then he just goes lower than low with the curveball and created more frustration for a guy who's already got the weight of the world on his shoulders.
You know what's frustrating there, and the defeatist kind of attitude you can see sometimes. No runner at first base, ball in the dirt, strike 3. You should take off the first. Make them make the throw to first. You never know what can happen.
Laird easily made the tag right there at the plate. 2 for 19 with 10 strikeouts now in the postseason for Rodriguez. And here is Swisher. Popped up and flied out in 2 trips.
Well, again, he doesn't have to get a hit to improve that 1 for 34. He's just got to drive in 1 run. He's got to make contact, whether it's on the ground or in the air, and at least get a run in. Obviously, you want to try to get a single or more, but making contact here is essential. We're only in the bottom of the 6th. You've got to cash in on the opportunities that the other team are the infield's back.
Fouled off by Swisher, a ball and a strike.
I think too many times in these situations in the postseason, guys are trying to be extra heroes, like instead of just what the game will allow you to take. And if you shorten your swing and just think about getting it out and moving the runner over, sometimes that's better than trying to drive the ball and popping it straight up or being in this rut that they're in.
Ground ball to second base right here makes it a 1-run game.
Pitcher wants you to have a big swing.
A ball and 2 strikes.
Well, he's been throwing a lot of curveballs to the left-handers, and we saw that statistic of all the strikeouts against Oakland being left-handed. But he also has that comeback fastball where he starts it in against a left-hander and gets the freeze for a called strike 3. A couple different options he's got here with the count in his favor. Well, he tried it, and he pulled it. And when you pull that pitch, it's definitely not going to break. You got to stay firm up top and let the break be natural. Start it at his knee and let that catcher catch it on the inside part of the corner. Easier said than done. Pressure situation.
2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 on with 1 out. And Swisher takes, and the count is full.
Now, I would say if he had confidence in that sinker, he'd try to front door it again. But more than likely, that curveball has been a better pitch for him. A great take by Swisher. That ball started over the middle of the plate and dipped down.
He also threw a cutter early in this count where he almost got a pop-up. Many options for Fister.
They are loaded for Curtis Granderson.
Well, even though you know you had a base open, you got to be a little frustrated if you're Fister. You had that count in your favor, and you let him get off the hook. A guy who's tough to double up, a guy who's looking to lift the ball.
And you traded a guy that you were ahead to a guy who hits fly balls. Many of them out of the ballpark.
Granderson's 0 for 2. Strikeout and a flyout. Yankees lead from every base, and Granderson takes a strike.
Maybe Fister just wanted to get to the bases loaded because you know the average is under 100 now. Never did I dream I'd use that statistic today so many times, and he'd still be in the game.
And he jumps ahead 0-2.
This one's just a harder breaking ball, more like that cutter-like slider, back foot. I've seen a lot of left-handers hit that pitch a long ways, but this one was in a position where it beat him to the barrel of the bat, could get out in front.
And Granderson strikes out on 3 pitches.
I wish there was a stat for the most boos on a team that keeps playing in October. This is just a tumbler right here. He's got a lot of confidence in that curveball. He starts it up, it breaks down, and the timing of Granderson right now, just being a fraction off, was not able to be confident that that pitch he could lay off of.
The Yankees had runners at second and third with nobody out, and now Fister has a chance to wiggle off the hook. Martin takes a strike, 0-1.
Martin's average may not show it, Ron, but he's had some great at-bats in these last 4 games. He's hit the ball hard. Of course, he hit the game-winning home run in Game 1 in Baltimore.
Laird active behind the plate with the block. Ball and a strike.
You got to remember sometimes you've only done 5 games, but it seems like 9 with all the different things going on.
Well, he's got a home run, but he's 0 for 8 with 2 outs. Russell Martin with the bases loaded. How many pitchers have you seen wiggle out of 3 bases loaded jams in 6 innings?
1 ball and 2 strikes. Martin didn't think much of the call. Yankees had him loaded in the first and the second.
Well, this is a sinker that comes back over the plate. Okay, he trusted that one, made it in a perfect spot. And now he's expanded the zone and again can go to that curveball if he wants to.
A lot of shakes there by Pfister. Gerald Laird had his idea what he wants to do as the catcher. The disagreement. Let's talk it over. This is what I'm thinking. This is what you're thinking. Which way should we go, John?
Yeah, you got to be committed. Half-committed pitch will not work. I'd rather throw a committed pitch in the dirt than a half-committed pitch for a strike. It usually gets hit.
Martin had a base hit on that hanging slider before.
Russell Martin, the 3rd Yankee to strike out in the 6th. Doug Pfister gets out of another bases-loaded jam. Games for the Yankees, including this one. They scored a grand total of 12 runs. Gerald Laird takes low, a ball and a strike. He singled in the 3rd, lined to short in the 5th.
Well, he made some incredible pitches, did Pfister. The curveball and slider combination to wiggle all of that, and see if Andy can just put another 0 up and keep his team in it.
Laird looks at strike 3, first out here in the 7th. As you would expect after getting out of that jam. Glad hand all around.
You got to go with the easy high five, though. Easy on the wrist.
Yeah. He told Jeff Jones right there, I'm good. I'm good. Well, I would have said, okay, no more bases loaded then.
We know he can do that.
Yeah.
Here's Austin Jackson. Shortened as if to bunt. Took it. 1-0.
Everybody must feel pretty confident that Andy Pettit's ankle is completely healed because no one's tried to bunt on him. No one's had a tough play at first where he's had to run over.
A ball and a strike. It was Jackson who got things started in the 6th for Detroit with what turned out to be a triple. Right past first. Kind of got stuck in one of the corners down there, and Jackson didn't stop till he'd gotten to 3rd. One-two from Pettit. Isn't that how it goes sometimes, guys? When you're on one side, you've got runners all over the place in the first 2 innings, can't do anything to get them in. They're turning great defense on the other side, and then you finally mount a rally, and bang, there you go, 2 runs and the lead.
I can only tell you, having done that, and I'm sure Ron, you can say the same thing. When you get out of 2 jams like that, usually don't get out of the 3rd. I mean, that was remarkable pitching because it usually catches up. You have to make pitch after pitch after pitch, whether it's with 2 outs or 1 out. You know, credit Pfister, but normally you don't get out of that.
Jackson stays alive, and Pfister had only struck out 1 through 5 and then strikes out 3 in the 6th with runners in scoring position.
Just situationally, the Tigers did a better job. They put the ball in play. They gave themselves a chance to get a run in. The Yankees did not with the 3 strikeouts. So that's been the difference.
On the ground in the hole, Jeter just does get Austin Jackson for the 2nd out. Get to the game with Chevrolet, the official vehicle of Major League Baseball. Find your chance to win postseason tickets and an all-new Malibu at Chevy.com/tickets. Here's Omar Infante.
You know, and unfortunately for the guys who are struggling, they're getting their chances to turn some boos into cheers, but it's just falling right back on them almost every time. You know, when you make an error, you want the ball hit right back to you, unless you make another error. And I just think right now with, again, unfair intention on A-Rod. I know why it is. I know the salary. I know the contract, all that. But there's other guys, too. And they're going to have to pick up the slack and as a team, pick each other up. Ibanez did it one night, but I don't think you can expect that to happen a lot.
Yeah, or every series, right?
Here comes the 2-1. That ball's hit pretty well down the line and left, but bending foul.
You know, it's interesting to watch Russell Martin catch. You know, you have a lot of catchers that they like to call what they can't hit. And the one thing about Martin, he doesn't like the ball inside kind of jamming him. He's got good power the other way. It's very comfortable for him to call pitches in.
He nibbled at the corner and missed. And the count is full.
When you get this pitch down, it's so hard to hit for a right-hander. That one just missed.
The 3-2. And we'll do it again.
You're seeing open space. You're trying to tell yourself you want it to end up. If you know your pitch is going to break a certain way, you start worrying about that release point and imagining where the ball is going to end up to the catcher's glove.
Infante 0 for 3. He bats with 2 down here in the top half of the 7th and draws a 2-out walk. And Joe Girardi makes his way to the mound here in the 7th. We saw the frustration, remember, John, in the Baltimore series in Game 2. Right about this same time. Here it is. It's a 2-out walk. It turns out to be his last batter. Andy Pettit.
Derek Lowe, a lot of sinkers. I envision a lot of sliders maybe to Cabrera. I don't know if you like that sinker coming back into his power zone, but he's done a good job out of the pen. Indians let him go, and the Rangers, the Yankees, I'm sorry, picked him up.
Problem with Cabrera versus Lowe, and I know you like the righty, you like the that Lowe keeps the ball down usually as a ground ball pitcher, but Cabrera has so much power to right field and right center that you cannot just live on the outer half of the plate.
He singled in the 1st, grounded out in the 4th, and was intentionally walked in the 6th. And he has scored one of the 2 Detroit runs. Infante leads from 1st. And Cabrera cuts right through it. No balls and 2 strikes.
Well, 2 great sinkers in. He saw Andy Pettit go in there and certainly decided that that's going to be the plan of attack and see if he can go 3 in a row.
Three pitches by Derek Lowe, and Cabrera is retired. It is time to stretch in New York. One of those helmet slamming, fist pumping, frustrating on one side nights here in Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Thanks for joining us tonight here on TBS. Ernie Johnson along with John Smoltz and Ron Darling. Chances aplenty for the New York Yankees. Have not cashed in, Ron.
Well, you know, having back-to-back Alex Rodriguez and Nick Swisher, 1 for 20, 1 for 35. They didn't come through, but you got to give a lot of credit to Pfister and the defense at Detroit, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Pfister, you get in a bases loaded jam and you get this kind of defensive play, you're fired up. and then it comes again with the bases loaded in the second inning. So he's really done the job on the mound, made the pitches when he's had to, but his defense has really picked him up as well. Impressive. He got out of a big jam in the 6th inning, made some great pitches to get some strikeouts, trying to limit the damage. Well, he limited it. He didn't give up anything. Once there was 2nd and 3rd, nobody out.
Yeah, Jeff Jones told us earlier in the broadcast he's a tough kid, wants to stay in there after he took that line drive off the right wrist. And while he's been in some trouble, he has not allowed a run, and he's back out there here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Both of these teams needing the full 5 games to move on against two of the better feel-good stories in baseball this year. The Orioles really pressing the Yankees. Oakland did the same to Detroit.
Well, for the Tigers, you're here in the bottom of the 7th. I don't know if he can go much more than the 7th. They're going to have some guys warming up for potentially Cano. But the big thing is, in this series, I thought the theme was, can the Tigers win a close game? We know the Yankees can. Can their bullpen get them to a place, or if their starters get them to a place where their bullpen can hang on?
Derek Jeter leads it off in the bottom half of the 7th. He's walked and singled and grounded out. Then he takes a strike from Doug Fister. Fister nearing the 100 pitch mark, 97 as he works here in the 7th. 0-2 to Jeter. Al Albuquerque continues to throw in the Detroit bullpen. Jimmy Leland's guys on September 17th lost a makeup game to the White Sox and were 3 games out, having to really catch fire down the stretch. They did. Won 11 of their last 16, 8 of their last 10, and won the AL Central.
The big reason is their starters. The starters last series had a combined 1.5 ERA. Doesn't hurt that your ace goes out there and only gives up 1 run in 2 games, but nonetheless, Fister pretty much doing in a different way what Verlander did.
The left-hander Phil Koch has joined Albuquerque in the bullpen as Jeter goes down swinging to lead off the 7th. Let us check in our studios in Atlanta with Matt Weiner.
Hey, EJ, time for a Bank of America game break. And a reminder, tomorrow night, Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Our buddies over at Fox have it for you at 8 Eastern time. A couple of historic comebacks set it up. The Cardinals coming from 6 runs down in Game 5 at Washington. The Giants from 2 games down to win 3 straight on the road against the Reds.
All right, thank you, Matt. Fister has now struck out 4 of the last 5 he's faced, and again working quickly to Ichiro.
Well, what he does is some pitchers change the hitter's eye level with fastballs up and down. He changes them with curveballs up and down, and then he follows it with a changeup, and then his heater, which is 90 to 91, looks like 95.
Did he go? No, he did not, says Jeff Nelson down there at third.
Whatever tempo that Fister has wanted this entire game, the Yankees have allowed him to pitch as quickly as he wants.
A 1-2 count, even 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ichiro has a single and 3 trips. And he reaches out and slaps it into left. Dirks plays it on the hop. And Ichiro is at first with 1 down here in the 7th.
And Jim Leland's going to come out. More than likely, got a lefty to lefty matchup with Cano.
Fister, who got the win in the clincher in the ALDS in this ballpark a year ago over the Yankees, goes 6 1/3. The runner at first, Ichiro, belongs to him. Cano's coming up. Koch's coming in.
We ran a mile before breakfast.
Here in the 7th, Doug Fister. See him there with Jeff Jones, his pitching coach. And a job well done here in game 1 of the ALCS.
Yeah, absolutely a great job. You know, for Phil Koch, he's trying to decide that cat and mouse game. What is Cano going to do? I'm coming into the game. I like to let it eat. I like to throw cheese. But when you see stats like 454, 10 home runs on the first pitch, you're a little bit more cautious on what you're trying to do. And certainly that statistic right there, not so bad. That's pretty good. But you got to be focused on Cano and making really, really good pitches. I don't care that he struggled. He can tie the game up really quick.
Koch came to the Tigers along with Austin Jackson in that Curtis Granderson trade in 2009. Robinson Cano represents the tying run in a 2-0 game.
In their 10 games this year, the Yankees beat the Tigers 6 out of those 10 games. And from the 7th inning on, they outscored them 24-10. This is when the Yankees have done their best work against this Tiger team and Tiger bullpen.
Ichiro leads from first. Cano, who's 0 for 3, waiting on an 0-1. And Koch jumps out. No balls and 2 strikes.
We kind of mentioned that in the open, didn't we? That the Tiger offense, would they score enough so you wouldn't be in these close games where Benoit and Valverde have had their troubles? In the game 2 against Oakland, Fister had the same kind of game. 7 innings of finely pitched ball. Bullpen blew it.
Yeah, we talked about offensive struggles for the Yankees, which have continued. Talked about a shaky bullpen. Tigers trying to change that here in game 1. Koch to the plate. So, John, you've started game 1, and you're in the 7th, and you're standing where Fister is right now, and your mind is doing what to you?
No, you're grinding for your teammate. There's nothing you can do. You were out there in the moment. You wish you could go a little longer, but you're grinding for your teammate. You're looking at a big out right here for sure. Those are the worst moments when you leave.
Cano waiting on an 0-2 from the left-hander Phil Koch. Tapped foul. Cano just does stay alive.
And guys who are less than regal teammates are, come on, one time, pick me up.
Less than regal teammates. Well put.
Great game, though. Just, you know, if you're talking about the 4 or 5 outs you have to get in a game to have a good game, what did he get? 8 outs? I mean, 9 outs?
Look, these starters know what's laying ahead of them, meaning if they can do their job and get a lead in the series and turn it over to Verlander, what an advantage that would be in game 3.
Cano battling Koch, and it stays 0-2.
And for the Yankees, their big horse is not going to pitch till game 4, so we think. So he could pitch possibly game 4 and game 7. Well, in a best of 7, when you don't have options to send your guy out there number 1, you got to position him in that place where if it does go 7, you at least got him and him in game 7.
Pretty good battle going on here in the bottom half of the 7th inning between Koch and Cano.
After seeing the scouting reports and watching tape of the first series against Baltimore, you would think the relievers and the starters for the Detroit Tigers, when they're ahead, would bounce some breaking balls against this Yankee lineup.
Wide of first. Yeah, to your point, just throwing strikes as Phil Koch, 7-pitch at bat. And everything's been hittable.
He's got an arm swing that goes around his body, so it's more like a slurve slider. This would have to start on the outside part of the plate, but he's going to first base to go to the catcher type scenario, so it makes the fastball more of a weapon for him than his slider. That one was a ooh.
Well, you know what? You know it's bad when the catcher has to come out and talk to you. So listen, I don't know. Maybe you're not getting the message here. When I point down and then I give you the slider, that means throw it in the dirt. Can't take a chance with Cano. Cano always his entire career until this year when he hit around 200, a little over 200. It's been so dangerous against left-handed pitching because he's used the opposite field, left center and left field. More pull conscious now, and it's hurt his average.
Well, they've been down with everything with the exception of that pitch. I don't know if they'll climb the ladder with a fastball, change his eye angle, because right now it's all locked in on everything down.
Tapped in front of the plate. And Laird makes the play. Ichiro moves to second.
Well, he rolls this one, and Cano rolls it right out in front of the mound. Of course, the catcher knows he's got time.
Nice job by Laird calling Koch off because his momentum is moving towards first. An easier play. Strategy here with Jeff Jones and Phil Koch.
Well, this is basically your base open, tying run at the plate. Tex is a right-hander. Ibanez a left-hander on deck. You're just going to remind the pitcher and the catcher, maybe let the count dictate how we're going to attack them, or here's how we're going to attack them, but we have a base open. You never really want to put the go-ahead run at home plate, especially late, but sometimes your odds are better against another batter than they are at the current one at the plate.
But if you're watching TV, I don't know if I want to face Ibanez this month.
That's true.
Teixeira, the switch hitter, turns around to bat right-handed against the left-hander Koch. Ichiro at second. 2 down here in the 7th. Tell you what, Koch's around that plate. 0-1.
In the first series, the Yankees runners in scoring position first through third game. They're batting .316. The last 2 games, 0-77. Obviously, that trend today has not gotten much better with the bases loaded 3 times and no runs on the board.
Right back to Koch. He will flip. And that does it for the Yankees, who get a runner in scoring position but can't push him across. We're going to the 8th.
Hey, what's going on?
That's what the back of your baseball card should have said. John, you don't need any stats, just good year.
Oh, I wish.
Top half of the 8th inning. Derek Lowe came on in the 7th to strike out Miguel Cabrera. Came on in relief of Andy Pettit. And here's Prince Fielder. He's 2 out of 3 and has knocked in 1 of the 2 Detroit runs. Our friends at the Elias Sports Bureau inform us that we're watching history tonight. Yankees have never left the bases loaded 3 times in a postseason game. They have tonight. And there you see it. Fielder with the bouncer. Teixeira, nice play. Flip to low, 1 down.
I asked some of the coaches in the previous series over in Baltimore, what are you using? Tums, Alka-Seltzer? I mean, what's
Gotta be
going
stronger
on?
than that.
They said neither. We're numb. When you're numb, you don't feel anything. Every game was close. A lot of decisions had to be made. Obviously, Joe's been under the fire of making some tough decisions and patience and who do you play. typically we don't ever deal with this. Yankees have a set lineup. It's pretty easy. They got the most depth. They got the most salary. It's a pretty set lineup. You don't have to worry about anything, but not so fast.
Good players on the bench.
Yep. And I might add, Joe's done an incredible job this year managing this team that has not been all what it's cracked up to be all the time.
That ball is drilled down the line in left, and it's gone. Delman Young, who tore up the Yankees last year in the ALDS. It's a solo shot here in the 8th, and it's 3-0. And Delman Young has become the all-time leader in postseason home runs for the Detroit Tiger franchise.
Was that sinker up in the strike zone? But it certainly was in. And the ability to pull those hands in and keep that ball fair and wrap it around the foul pole. Pretty amazing what Delman Young does in the postseason.
Young had been tied with Craig Monroe and Hank Greenberg with 5 postseason home runs. And now he has the franchise record outright, and the Tigers have a 3-0 lead.
Franchise record. He just got here. I mean, from Minnesota, of course.
That ball's well hit by Peralta into the gap in right center. He'll round first and cruise into second with a 1-out double. And Joe Girardi on his way to the mound.
Just good hitting right here. Takes sinker, doesn't try to do too much, but go where it was pitched. Finds the gap. Good enough speed to cruise into second.
Derek Lowe did his job in the 7th. Roughed up here in the 8th. 3-0.
Let's go on to play the Rangers, and looking to do that in this time frame. They're back in the ALCS.
These add-on runs, though, have done the one thing that we talked about, and that is given a cushion to the back of that bullpen that has been under fire. Yankees, including tonight, last 6 postseason games, scored a total of 12 runs. Hard to win that way, even though they got through the division series.
Something the Yankees have that can work against them. It's this: they're always calm. They never look bothered. They look like somebody's going to rise to the occasion. They did it against Baltimore in the 9th when it felt like the game was over. It certainly feels like here, but they have been there, done that mentality, so they always feel like they're in the game no matter what the score is for the most part.
The 1-2 to Laird, misses inside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Laird, member of that champion St. Louis Cardinals team a year ago. This is his 2nd time around with the Tigers.
Only caveat to that, John, when you think about it, is that Detroit's been there too, against them last year, and they walked off triumphant.
Two way upstairs, count full to the number 9 hitter in the Tiger lineup.
But the beauty of a 7-game versus the 5-game is you can avoid the hiccup or the bad game or no runs. You know, in a 5-game, you put yourself behind a hole, and certainly the way the pitching lines up. I think, again, the interesting thing here is the Tigers know who's pitching game 3. The Yankees know who's pitching. You just want to have that advantage when your horse is on the mound. That's why game 1's a little more intriguing here.
Garcia will be off with the 3-2 pitch. A looper to Jeter, and that's the final out. But the Detroit Tigers pad their lead. Delman Young with a cannon shot. It's 4-0. Up in the 3rd. Doubled in the 6th. If you're just joining us, the Yankees have had golden scoring opportunities. A team that's desperately been needing runs in the postseason, despite the fact they won their ALDS series over Baltimore, but they've left the bases loaded 3 times in this game. Some sparkling Detroit defense, in particular by Johnny Peralta at short. The left-hander Phil Koch works to Ibanez and throws it. He hasn't thrown a ball yet, fellas.
Koch last year when he came in the division series had trouble with control, so he said, you know what, this time I'm going out swinging.
12 pitches, 12 strikes. Ibanez tried to check, and it's 0-2.
That's the type of breaking ball he was trying to throw to Cano, but could never quite get the tilt to do that.
Now he mixed in a ball. 1-2.
Well, Phil Koch is going to play a big role in this entire series. He's going to be the man that's called to get Cano out, to turn Teixeira around, face Ibanez.
Yeah, especially late. You know, I know Smiley's down there, but it's more for if the starter doesn't do very well and bring him in. But Porcello's down there as well as former starters. So Tigers have the depth. It's just the back end they need to shore up and make sure they finish the games.
To first. Fielder will take it himself for the first out here in the 8th. And Jim Leland has made up his mind. That's enough for Phil Koch, who does a fine job. Retires the 3 hitters he faces. With Alex Rodriguez due up for the Yankees. It's a 4-0 game. Game 1 of the ALCS. Delman Young with the blooper in front of Swisher. That made it 2-0. They tacked on 2 more in the 8th. The big shot was a line drive home run by Delman Young, which gave him the franchise lead in postseason home runs. And they weren't through. Garcia contributes the RBI single. And it is 4-0 here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. We told you A-Rod was due. Joe Girardi will pinch hit Eric Chavez here in the 8th.
Well, I don't know what to say.
I think it's a harder call today.
Yeah.
He's told that he's going to bat Chavez. That was just moments ago. The first inning with the bases loaded, he hit a bullet and just robbed by Peralta. Of course, struck out with the bases loaded in the 6th later.
Joaquin Benoit, the 3rd Detroit pitcher. And swinging at the first pitch, Chavez drives it deep to center, and what a catch by Austin Jackson.
Tell you right now, that's closing speed. When we watch this from our angle, that ball's a double. And this ball squared up. And Austin Jackson, of course, all that room at Tiger Stadium, not so much as much here, but man, he just never left the ball and makes a great catch.
That's one of the things, not only with his offense, but his defense, taking the correct path to the baseball. Jackson has improved exponentially.
Chavez remains hitless in the postseason as the speedy Jackson took that one away from him. 2 down now here in the 8th. And here's Swisher.
Well, we know it's not a save opportunity here, but Benoit and Valverde, we talked about their struggles in the open against the Oakland team. Well, they've struggled all year against the New York Yankees too. 3 blown saves, 9 runs they've given up in 8 innings, including 3 home runs.
He likes his little split finger. It kind of tumbles. It's not your traditional split finger where it's a put-away pitch. Just doesn't seem. I know the radar says 94, 95 on the fastball, but you don't see the finish where the ball's getting on the hitter quick.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Swishy. You saw Papa Grande up and getting loose in the Tiger bullpen. The 1-2 to Swisher. Popped up in the second, flied out in the fourth, and walked in the sixth.
You know, for a guy who throws as hard as he does, his fastball is like a show pitch.
Yeah.
Get ahead and then go to the split.
It's almost like he pitches around his fastball, with the split being the major pitch. It was a split finger fastball that cost him against Josh Reddick and the A's in that 4th game.
That ball's hit pretty well to right. Back toward the wall and off the wall. Swisher is at second, and he's there with a double. Garcia gave it a good try at the wall right around the 314 mark, but couldn't corral it.
Another split finger over the middle of the plate. Good wood. Thought it might have had enough to get out, and then again Garcia might have gone out. Who knows? He got his glove on it.
Yeah, Garcia with a great try, but again, 2 bullets given up by Benoit. Nice try by Garcia, deflecting off the glove.
In a 4-0 game, a runner in scoring position for Granderson, who grounds it to second, and Fonte had him played perfectly. And you can hear it. They are not happy here at Yankee Stadium. A frustrating night for the Pinstripes as we go to the 9th. Tigers over the Yankees. Cody Epley is the new Yankee pitcher. He was not on the Division Series roster. Joe Girardi added him here. As you see, Eric Chavez stays in the game at third for A-Rod. But Eduardo Nunez was taken off the roster with the abundance of right-handed pitching the Tigers have. Girardi figuring he didn't need the right-handed bat of Nunez in there, and adds the reliever.
Well, I think Epley is, you know, those side armors who can come in and get you a ground ball. And when you have a 1st and 3rd situation, maybe early in the game, he's a guy you can go to look for the double play.
Austin Jackson leading it off here in the 9th. He tripled and scored the first Detroit run back in the 6th. We were scoreless through 5. And the Tigers put 2 on the board in the 6th, 2 more in the 8th. You see Jackson with his triple and his run scored. He's 1 out of 4. Tigers 4-10-1. Yankees 0-7-0.
Yankees have a right-handed side armor and a left-handed side armor. And Rapata, I'm sure when he got put on the roster, he had his eyes on Cabrera, as if that might be one of the guys he faces to get a ground ball or something. Rapata, the fielder.
That ball's hit well by Jackson into the gap. And he will easily have 2, and he'll stay right there, leading off the 9th. Second extra base hit of the night for the Tigers leadoff hitter. As Infante comes to the plate, let me ask you guys something as you look at this replay. We showed Alex Rodriguez just moments ago. Considering what's going on here, and you heard our pregame show, Cal Ripken and the guys talking about it. Cal, for one, saying, I know A-Rod is saying the right thing, saying whatever I can do to help. He'd like to see him get a little more angry about this.
Well, I appreciate. I think as a teammate, you appreciate him not getting so angry that becomes such a huge thing that it takes away from your team. I understand what Cal's saying, and you'd like to see him maybe go out there, and I think he did it in his own way yesterday when he said, "Listen, I'm not happy with this. I want to play. I want a chance to deliver for my team."
Infante fouls the bunt attempt back. No balls and a strike.
But I think that you run into the fine line of angering teammates if you decide to take that hard stand.
Yeah, I think he's in a no-win situation, and
a part of you is embarrassed. You're embarrassed that your unequal play has led to a manager having to take you out of lineup.
Infante bunts foul again. No balls and 2 strikes.
You know, he's got 25 or so reporters waiting to talk to him after the game in situations where he chose not to speak to him. And, you know, sometimes that can be okay and understood because you could say the wrong things and upset the flow of what has been they won. You know, I mean, they won. They're celebrating. They won despite 5 guys, 5, not A-Rod, 5 guys not having the type of season, postseason that they would want.
The 0-2 to Infante misses. Let's check in with Craig Sager. Craig.
Well, I was one of those 25 reporters waiting to talk to A-Rod last night, and we went in there shortly after the celebration, and we waited for A-Rod, and he never came out. And after a while, then we were told that he had already left the stadium. And you know, obviously, I could understand it because no matter what he says, he's going to be taken wrong. If he says, "Oh, I'm happy to celebrate. No, I'm part of the celebration. I'm happy we won," and he's celebrating, people say, "Well, why you're celebrating when you aren't playing and you didn't contribute?" And if he says, "I don't feel like celebrating because I really didn't feel like I contributed," then they'll say he's not a team player. So I understood it. And then I picked up the paper today. There on the back page, somebody snuck in before I got there, and they had a picture of him with the champagne, saying he had no trouble celebrating even though he didn't contribute. So it's a tough city to play for, a tough city to play in, and right now he has become the scapegoat. Although, as you guys mentioned, the entire team is struggling. Once again, shut out so far here through 8 innings.
But, you know, it's like I have a problem with a guy who throws his helmet when he gets out, and everyone thinks, wow, that guy is a gamer, and he's really mad. Oh, what's the difference? I mean, everyone's trying to get a hit. So a guy that makes an out goes and gently puts his helmet in the bat rack, he gets chastised for not being aggressive. So it is what it is. He can help his case by getting a hit or 2. That's just as simple as it gets.
Yeah. Well, Joe Girardi has talked about how difficult it has been to make some of these decisions, whether it's a pinch hitting situation, whether it's benching him in Game 5. Now, if you're Joe, way out of this, put some good at bats together. Is that an issue right now?
Well, this is a performance-generated business, a meritocracy. You know, you have to perform at a high level. And I think there isn't a manager that's ever managed in the postseason that puts a lineup out there because he wants to embarrass a player or take a player out. They do it because they think it gives them the best chance to win.
Like El Cabrera fouls it off, and it's a ball and a strike.
The hardest part, Ernie, is not only what you're going to do in the postseason, and that is so paramount on the success for
the Triple Crown winner is 1 out of 3. Singled his first time, grounded out in the 4th, was intentionally walked in the 6th, and struck out in the 7th. Tell you what, Major League Baseball and Elias, they put out pages and pages of stats. I was looking at 21 offensive categories today, and Cabrera's name was in 16 of them. And most of the time near the top, as he grounds it to third. Chavez, long throw, gets him. And Jackson moves to third.
Well, this ball, he's got to back up because it's a little bit in between there, and he backs up, makes a nice play, knows he's got time. Obviously, a Gold Glove winner. A few times over.
I think in his prime, what Eric Chavez and Scott Rowland, probably their best fielding third basemen of their generation.
Now with Prince Fielder coming up, Joe Girardi going to the pen again. Clay Rapata will get the call.
You like who you
that right?
That's wrong.
That is a given.
If I grew my
Clay Rapata against Prince Fielder here.
We just choose not to grow ours out.
Well, come on.
You think they're low maintenance?
You think there's
That's
some...
a bad view for me right there. I'm just letting you know that right now. That's all camera angle driven. Probably a green screen or two.
I think it's been up there way long enough. 0-2 count to Prince Fielder as he bats here in the 9th.
Give me the blimp view. That ain't right.
It's multi from any angle. The view really doesn't change. Fielder has knocked in one of the Detroit runs. They lead it 4-0. They're in the 9th. Austin Jackson out there at third, 90 feet away if Fielder can deliver here. And he cannot. Goes down swinging. And we head to the bottom half of the 9th inning. The Yankees down by 4. Tomorrow it's a 4 o'clock start. Pre-game at 3:30 from our Atlanta studio. Anibal Sanchez, Hiroki Kuroda, the Game 2 matchup.
Well, Kuroda has to come back. Somebody's got to come back on 3 days based on the scheduling quirk. And it's going to be Kuroda. He's been lights out his last game. And Sanchez has pitched really well the last month or so for the Tigers.
He had a big shutout for them in September, did Sanchez, who came over with Infante from the Miami Marlins.
Russell Martin will lead it off in the bottom half of the 9th against Jose Valverde.
I mean, I don't base everything on speed of pitch, but when you have a first fastball 90 miles an hour, and we saw Valverde pitch last year when he was perfect and he's around 94, 95 miles an hour, quite a difference.
Typically for a closer, and especially for him this year, these games they don't get his attention yet. You know, it's a 4-run game, 1-run game. You're on go. You know, and sometimes he's got to rev it up via the ugly way with getting a couple runners on. And I know Jim Leland and the staff has endured a perfect season last year. Hasn't been that case this year.
Martin leads it off with a single to center.
It's just a lazy breaking ball. You see it spinning that big circle right there. Never good when you see the seams and the circle, and the hitter can see that. What the hitter can't see is that tight dot, and he's asking if that pitch is up. Pitching coaches get a little upset when you have to ask if that pitch is up. They'll say, what did the hitter tell you?
Exactly. A linea, line drive.
Well, here's Derek Jeter. Martin's going to take off. Defensive indifference.
Gene Lamont, the third base coach, hat off already. Catcher Laird out to speak to Valverde after 4 pitches.
All right, for Valverde, the hitters don't see the ball when he's right. He hides it front side, and he throws a lot of fastballs. But when his front side isn't working right and it's getting away from the target line, he pulls them. He gets lazy with the fastball, and that pitch you saw doesn't break because there's nothing to throw off of on the front side.
Jeter takes a strike, 1-1. He walked in the first, singled in the second. Grounded out to first in the 5th and struck out in the 7th.
You'll start to see the velocity start to climb a little bit. 93 He'll start rushing it up there. Problem is, can he hit the spot away? He likes to throw in a lot.
Fouled off at the plate. 1-2.
See, based on where he stands on the far right side of the mound or first base side, he's going to have more of a natural, easier effort to get the ball into a righty away from a lefty. But sometimes that ball doesn't get into a lefty or a righty, and it leaks over. It's right over the middle of the plate, and he got beat in Oakland quick. There was 3 batters, 2 runs, 6 pitches, I think, something like that.
Martin led off with a single. Now at second, after he wasn't held at first. Jeter waiting on a 1-2. And the count is even. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
From 90 to 95.
John, maybe you can explain it. Non-save situations, his ERA is 4.5, 3.2 in save situations. Just adrenaline not the same? Or?
Yeah, it's the attention factor. I mean, you come in, you're trying to close a game in a save opportunity. This is not one. But I'll also say in the postseason doesn't matter because everything's big. Regular season, these are regular season numbers. Postseason, you've got all the adrenaline you need, especially trying to nail down game 1 of a best-of-7 series.
On the road. And Jeter strikes out for the first out of the 9th. Second time he's gone down swinging here in the opener.
And the Tigers couldn't ask for a better situation as you look at this fastball that he got away. That's the key. Keeping the fastball away, not let it leak back over. But this is like a mini audition. Can you trust him in the situation? Can he come out here and put away that game 4? This is his opportunity with 4 runs to wipe away game 4. We saw Jim Johnson, every opportunity he had after a hiccup, he came back and did the job.
Ichiro is 2 out of 4 and takes a strike. 0-1.
Everything about this game is last impression. What have you done for me lately? And the guys that can adjust and make the adjustment on the fly, better chance of success, obviously.
Let's split finger grip.
That ball's hit well to right. Fair or foul. Fair ball. Home run. It's a 4-2 game.
Well, gets it in. Ichiro can hit with power. Picked a fine time to do it.
Everything up in the strike zone from Valverde straightens out as it does for most pitchers. Doesn't have a lot on it. And down that line for Ichiro to get them within 2. When is Ibanez up?
Exactly. Only the second multi-run inning in this postseason for the Yankees. They scored 5 in the 9th of game 1 in Baltimore. Cano takes inside 1-0.
There may be some panicking going on the Detroit side, but the Yankees do not panic. That's a trademark, good or bad. They just don't.
Cano 0 for 4 on the night, 2 for 26 in the postseason.
Some of the things that happen to pitchers when they're struggling, the arguing over close pitches, the frustration with not getting those pitches. And Robinson Cano, you can see his demeanor. It's like the first at bat in spring training.
The first one was right there.
Right.
He did not get the benefit of the first one being called.
Cano waiting on a 2-0 from Valverde. That's over. 2 balls and a strike. Mark Teixeira on deck. And that man you were talking about, Raul Ibanez, in the hole. Suddenly a 4-2 game here in the 9th with just 1 out. Off the corner, 2-2.
Well, it evened out.
Yeah, first pitch was a strike. Cano, after giving up a home run inside to Ichiro, you have to think that any pitch probably going to be middle of the plate away.
The count is full. Another bad one brings the tying run to the plate here in the 9th.
You know, this sounds crazy right here, but you've got to make him put it in play. You've got to give yourself a chance. You can't just gift the tying run to the home plate. Make him earn it.
Well, looking at that scorecard, Jim Leland, this might be his last hitter anyway.
We saw some folks leave when this game went 4-0. Those who chose to stay right in the middle of a 9th inning rally here as the Yankees try to come back from a 4-0 deficit. And Cano goes down swinging. 2 down in the 9th.
Cano, known as one of those hitters that just does not swing and miss this often, but it's happened now for most of the postseason. Right down the middle, belt high, away, and Valverde gets a strikeout.
See, I know we talk about defenses and shifts. This is when it makes me nervous. All he has to do is put the ball as a pitcher to the third base side and bunt it, and now you've created the tying run. See what Tex decides to do.
That shift you talk about, 3 infielders on the right side, and Miguel Cabrera.
Boy, it would have been a play that, and you can still do it, because all you need is to get Ibanez up. You have to get a base runner somehow, some way.
No balls and 2 strikes. See Cabrera playing where the shortstop normally does, and even shaded over toward the bag. A couple of steps into the outfield grass. The 0-2.
Playing him to pull 3 fastballs away. Amazing.
Valverde with the 1-2.
Valverde known for when he does get the save or big outs. A little bit of an antics of a little move here or there. Wonder what kind of if there is one, if he's able to get the out.
It better not be too histrionic, I'll tell you that, because this has not been
like that.
this has not been pretty.
I like that. Histrionic.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Teixeira waiting. And the count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. How tough is it to beat Jim Leyland, you reckon?
I guess it's all year, you know. I mean, it's the patience that I talk about that can get a manager in hot water at times, but at the same time, you don't lose a player. You know, you don't lose your closer.
His Tigers led 4-0 coming into the 9th. It's 4-2 now. And 2-2 to Teixeira.
I mean, it's obviously a lot easier when Mario Rivera is in your bullpen, but not everybody has that situation. Winning games is difficult. Closing games is difficult. And he understands that.
Well, it's what he said when we saw him before the game. He said, winning games, you don't know how hard it is to win a game. Valverde finding out tonight.
The 2-2. And the count is full.
Well, once again, same thing applies. You've got to make him put it in play. A lot of pitchers don't like to throw the ball right down the middle, but this is a case for it.
A walk to Teixeira, and look who comes to the plate representing the tying run. Raul Ibanez in the 9th in a 4-2 game.
Was it Jeff Jones or Jim Leyland who's going to come out? They opted for Jeff Jones, which means that Valverde's going to stay in. I don't even know what you'd say here.
The other night, Valverde in the Oakland series, and how this game changed so rapidly, John.
Yeah, this was quick. I mean, there wasn't really anything. The only speculation was with 2 outs, this was the hit right here. He got the next 2 hitters out to create a tie game still, and man on second, and that hit forced a game 5.
And you've seen countless times what Raul Ibanez was up to in game 3 of the ALDS, with the game-tying home run in the 9th and the game-winning homer in the 12th. There goes Teixeira to second. This was Ibanez in the 9th off Jim Johnson. And again, he represents the tying run in a 4-2 game.
Seen it too often. The Yankees are never out of it. You really got to bury them, especially at this park.
Fly ball, right field, pretty deep, back to the wall. He's done it again. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
That little spinner on the outside part. Garcia ran out of room. Loyalty by Leland.
What a slow and lonely walk back to the Tiger dugout for Valverde. It's 4-4 in the ninth. Dotel strikes out Chavez, but a stunning bottom of the ninth here at Yankee Stadium. Ichiro with a 2-run shot, and then Ibanez again. We're going to the 10th.
Kill that emotion on that roller coaster they're on.
You know, I just watched Miguel Cabrera punch through Gatorade. It affects your team. It's pervasive. It gets in that dugout, and guys have worked hard, and it's all gone.
Rafael Soriano here to pitch the 10th and facing Delman Young, who was homered in this game, swinging at the first pitch. Jeter throws it out and down.
I mean, the frustration just mounts. You have all this hard work, great situational hitting for power, doing all the little things, and a 4-run lead dissipates within 10 minutes.
Soriano, the 6th Yankee pitcher of the night. I'm just stunned. I can't believe what we saw in the 9th inning.
Well, there's going to be a lot of people that were in their car hearing this in New York saying tomorrow, man, I was at that game. Did you see that 9th inning? A lot of people left. But the people that stayed are absolutely thrilled of that 9th inning.
Ball and a strike to Johnny Peralta. He's 2 out of 3. He was part of that 8th inning in which the Tigers had a couple of tack-on runs to take that 4-0 lead. This is line foul over third. They're playing 5 straight home playoff games this week here at Yankee Stadium. And this is the 4th. 3 of them now have gone extra innings.
You think about it, they didn't have but 2 crooked innings in the last series. They go 8 innings and don't sniff a run, with the exception of 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, and they put up a 4 spot in the 9th to go with their 5 spot in game 1 in Baltimore. Just seen it too many times, you know, and this team again is not one of those top step, ton of emotion. They're just a confident bunch of guys. Despite what's going on, they feel like somebody's going to come up, and that somebody has been him on a couple occasions.
Listen to Derek Jeter before the 5th game that you guys did yesterday. They asked him, does he think about a 5th game different? He says, I play the 1st game like I would play a 5th game. Why would I play this one any different? And that is really their mantra.
Payoff pitch. Fouled away by Peralta.
obviously, he's certainly not trying to give up those runs. Not a worse feeling. Teammates got to pick you up somehow, some way. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough night.
In the air, center field. Curtis Granderson, 2 down.
Having done both and losing well over 150 games, there wasn't one game I can think of that I lost as a starter compared to blowing a save. This obviously wasn't a save opportunity, but you understand the idea. When you come in with the lead, you're supposed to leave with it.
Here's Andy Dirks with 2 down. Takes a strike 0-1.
It might not be a save opportunity, but you are the caretaker of that game and making sure that you get off this field with a win. We said it in the open. Starting pitching has been tremendous for the Tigers. 41 innings pitched, 5 earned runs. Bullpen has pitched 7 2/3 innings and given up 9 runs. Here's the problem.
The 0-2 from Soriano. And Dirks just staying alive.
I've never seen so many games this early in October that the other team had no business winning. Comebacks galore.
Rounded to first. We go to the bottom half of the 10th inning. 4-4. About cold Yankee bats, we talked about a shaky Detroit bullpen.
And you can just see that the starters and Pfister was outstanding, but you got to be able to close out games. If you can't close out postseason games, you don't have a chance. Verlander was the biggest reason they're in the series anyways, and boy, 4 runs in the 9th inning is not enough. How many do you need, John?
Yeah, I mean, and if you're the Tigers, you're obviously still in the game. You got to put up zeros now, and you got to find a way to win, maybe a 1-run game. But this is definitely not the picture you had in mind when you were celebrating Game 5 victory, coming in here with the confidence in your starters.
In Game 1 in Baltimore, excuse me, Ron, it was Jim Johnson that the Yankees roughed up in a 2-2 game, scoring 5 times, and here down 4-0. It's Valverde who feels the business end of the Yankee bats that woke up in the 9th inning.
You know, and the problem here for pitchers, it doesn't take much to hit a home run. You just get under a fly ball, and the tense moments like now, you can't give up anything. Fly ball, and that wasn't crushed, but it was just enough to get out of this ballpark.
Nick Swisher's got a double in 3 trips, also has walked tonight.
Yeah, that seemed like one of those angels in the outfield home run, right? Just carried far enough.
Dotel with the 1-1.
When you see Garcia going back, he's trying everything he can to time this. The ball has some lift. It's close. He's up against, and then, of course, it's 3 rows up, so nothing he can do. But the ball was in the air for a long time, and it's always scary here in the short right field porch.
Ibanez was signed over the winter. Brian Cashman was looking at a lot of different people who wanted to sign here, including Johnny Damon, a fan favorite, a guy that you know can hit in this small confines. The reason he decided on Raul Ibanez because he'd been playing everyday left field for the Philadelphia Phillies. He wanted someone to come over that hadn't been a DH, that still had his defensive legs under him.
The 2-2 to Swisher. Inside, count full. And I talked to Ibanez the other day before the game and just about the whole dynamic of being a designated hitter and how you stay sharp and what you do during the game. He says you don't want to wear yourself out by swinging too much, but 5 swings here and there just to get loose when you're going to come to the plate. And he came to the plate in the 9th, and he sent the place into a frenzy again.
Coming into this game, he hit 19 home runs off of right-handers, hit 248 or in the end of the season. And run bigger than some of the ones he's hit in the postseason, making a strong case for he's certainly not done after this year, maybe not.
Yeah. Another payoff pitch due to Swisher, leading it off in the bottom half of the 10th. That ball is hit to right. Got everybody excited here, but it was just a routine fly ball that Garcia tracked down for the first out.
Nothing's routine, I'm telling you. Oh, the heartbeat. I'm thinking that Baltimore series, this kind of field hurt a lot of guys. They were trying to swing for home runs, trying to be the hero, swinging and missing at pitches that typically they wouldn't have.
Here's Granderson. He's 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. 11 Ks in the postseason now for Granderson, who did homer here in Game 5 last night against the Orioles. Breaking ball over by Dotel, 1-1. You knew what he was thinking, but it's 1-2.
Whatever it says on the radar gun for Dotel, don't pay attention to it because it has extra life. 93 looked like 97 to the hitter because he throws that slurve up there, curveball, hard cutter, and he's got a long arm action. They don't pick up the ball very well.
Tried to check his swing, and Jeff Nelson said he did. So it's 2-2. Three balls and 2 strikes.
On the 3-2 count, you can be aggressive as a pitcher and throw something other than a fastball because Granderson has been aggressive as a hitter and has proven he will swing outside the strike zone.
And Granderson draws a 1-out walk. That brings up Russell Martin, who started the 9th inning rally with a single. He scored in front of Ichiro, who hit a 2-run shot in the 9th. And then with 2 out, a walk to Teixeira was followed by a Raul Ibanez 2-run homer. Yeah, I said it. Raul Ibanez again. And the Yankees will send Brett Gardner in to pinch run for Granderson.
Dotel is not very quick to the plate. Gardner, of course, some of the best speed in the American League, plagued by injuries all season long.
Was thought to be lost for the entire season, came back late in the year, and as soon as he could prove to Joe Girardi that he could swing a bat, he was put on the postseason roster.
Runners this year have stolen 10 out of 13 bases against Dotel. Pretty high number for a reliever. You talked about auditions, John.
Octavio Dotel has 109 big league saves, 21 last time in 2010 with Pittsburgh. Might be audition to see if he pitches late in games in the rest of this series.
Well, he's got to find a way to vary his times to home plate.
Dotel just looks at Gardner, who retreats.
I talked about the long arm action. That's exactly what he has. So out of the stretch, there's no way to short arm it. He's going to throw the way he throws with the long arm action.
Martin takes inside, a ball and no strikes. In the regular season, the Yankees had 2 walk-off homers, both from the guy at the plate, Russell Martin.
The one thing you can't do, I know you can't invent a slide step or do something other than what you can do. Don't let the runner at first affect the pitches at home plate to the hitter.
Gardner with a big lead. There he goes. Ball gets away from Laird. No play. Winning run is at second.
$11 out of 14 steals now against Dotel. That long arm action. Laird knows he has to try to make up some time. Just catches that on the end of the leather. And Gardner had such a big lead and jump. No play.
.2-0 pitch to Martin.
Those are the swings that you'd prefer not to see. I'm sure Kevin Long, all it takes is a base hit here. Doesn't take a home run. Shorten up on his 2 base hits over the second baseman's head. He's had a nice short stroke on a breaking ball.
Yeah, I think Kevin Long wants the opposite of his last name for these hitters right now.
Short.
Martin's 2 out of 4 on the night. Dotel to the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It doesn't get much easier either at second. You got the second baseman trying to keep him close because Gardner can get to third just as easily as he got to second. And so you've got to vary your looks. If your timing is of one accord, meaning 1, 2, 3, or the runner starts figuring out what your timing is, he could steal third base easier.
And you're right about Infante. He's over there. Martin's had 2 hits that way. 10 home runs to the opposite field this season. The things you can do in this situation, many. That little move will hold him for a second. You can quick pitch now on this next pitch. No chance for him to steal.
But the key is just not giving up a hit because any base hit's going to score Gardner.
Dotel missing down low. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Derek Jeter on deck. Infante still bird dogging Gardner out there at second. That ball is hit pretty well to left. Right along the line. Foul. In the 8th inning, this place was deathly quiet. There's been a buzz going through it for 45 minutes now. Another 3-2 will be made by Dotel. Fly ball to center that Austin Jackson is camped under. 2 down.
Well, Jeter's up, but you still got to make sure Gardner doesn't go to third. Because if he can get to third, a high chop or a wild pitch, so much pressure on defense. So you still got to pay attention to him. I know the infielders are going to be more traditional. But I'd make sure that you don't allow him to just walking lead and get to third base. And then you're really tense.
And they're not going to, John. They're going to give him third base if he wants it. Shortstop's back. Second baseman is in another county.
Jeter walked in the first, singled in the second. Grounded out in the fifth and struck out in the seventh and ninth.
Can understand the decision by the Tigers. Keep their players in a position where they can cover as much ground as they can. Jeter might be one of those hitters that doesn't even enjoy a runner from second moving and running on a play.
Well, if for my money, I'd like to have him at third and take your chances, because there's just so many other things that can happen.
Infield hit wins the game.
Saw in Cincinnati a tough hop for Roland with 2 outs. A great play that the runner beat out.
You saw Jeter the other night having to make a good play to retire a side.
Dirks is regular depth in left. So is Jackson in center. Garcia's shortened up about 5 or 6 paces in right field.
There goes Gardner. And he is at third. Strike called on Jeter. The winning run 90 feet away.
Interesting things here with the stolen base by Gardner. Second to third. Taken for a strike, but now you know what's going to happen. Cabrera, now because of the threat of maybe a bunt, has to play in a little bit at third base. That opens up all kind of possibilities on the left side for Jeter.
Here comes the 1-1. Jeter takes. It's 2-1.
First game that these two teams played in April. Derek Jeter scored on a pass ball to win the game.
Well, he's also hit a lot of his famous choppers, but gets out of the box real well for a right-hander.
Gardner in the same position.
Looper to right. Not well hit. Garcia's there. And the Yankees threatened in the 10th, but do not score. We head to the 11th.
TV.
Unbelievable playoff dramatics again by the Yankees. Raul Ibanez, as in the 9th inning, Ichiro hit a 2-run shot and Ibanez hit a 2-run shot. Here was Ichiro in a
What a pickup. When you think of Ichiro, I know when I heard of the news, I was shocked that he would move here to the Yankees. He had to agree to not care where he hit, not care where he played, maybe not care what number he wore, just to be a part of the experience here, and he bought in.
David Robertson, pitcher number, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the Yankees as he works the 11th.
David Robertson has been throwing the ball much better. His curveball has been really good, and his fastball staying on plane. Now he throws a lot of low cutter type fastballs, and it's been better, and the hitters have not hit him really hard lately.
Robertson appeared in 4 of the 5 games against the Orioles. Quentin Berry will pinch hit. Swinging at the first pitch and fouls it away.
I stopped keeping score.
You did?
Yep.
I didn't even know you were.
Well, this gets complicated when it starts getting into extra innings and stuff, so I don't even mess with it.
Berry hitting for Garcia. Berry was 3 out of 10 in the Oakland series.
It was Doug Fister who pitched so well. Bullpen blew his game in Oakland when he pitched 7 fine innings of baseball in that second game.
Hardest thing to do for a team on the receiving end of that is to get out of their head that they didn't lose yet.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you lost. The emotion, everything, the air goes out. You just got to find a way to get a rally and re-energize the next guy to close it out with a lead.
Here comes the 1-2. Back up the middle. Jeter makes the play on the run, 1 down.
Nice play here. Skipped off the grass, throwing on the run. No one does it any better than that.
Yeah, the big key there is it hit the mound, which slowed it down a little bit and got that big hop.
Slowed it down and kicked it to the left towards Jeter. Made it an easier play.
Now Alex Avila will pinch hit for Gerald Laird. Tigers only homered twice in that ALDS against Oakland. Avila hit one of them.
Avila is entering this rematch feeling a little bit better than he did last year. His knee gave him all kinds of problems. Looked like it while he was batting. Looked beat because he couldn't really push off the knee trouble that he had, and certainly it's showing.
Had to appreciate the effort though last year, right? He played hurt that entire series against the Yankees.
2 balls and no strikes. Here was that home run in game 1 of the ALDS in front of the home folks at Comerica. Here at Yankee Stadium, he pinch hits with 1 out in the 11th. Never thought I'd be saying that tonight. 3 balls and no strikes.
Do they dare let him swing 3-0? What say you?
I say no. 3-1.
You're kind of a swing at 3-0 kind of guy, aren't you?
Oh man. In certain situations like this, when you feel like your guy is going to take, pitcher throws it down the middle.
Short porch.
Well hit on the 3-1 base hit.
You know, 3-0 is not exactly the best time to hit for certain guys, but Mr. Wieters was pretty good coming into the series. He was 7 for 8 with a few bombs. Some guys can do it, some can't. Usually what you get 3-0, you'll get 3-1 unless there's traffic on the bases, and comes off the bench and delivers a big base hit.
So Avila is at first. Austin Jackson at the plate, top of the Tiger order. He's had a double and a triple and has scored a run tonight.
Sometimes you have the feeling that certain series are going to be the coming out party for young talented players, and Austin Jackson is certainly that. Former Yankee farmhand, a chance to show him how much he's improved after the trade.
Robertson nibbled at the corner and missed. It's a ball and a strike. Jackson had a couple of doubles in that first series against Oakland. 2 extra base hits in this game.
Well, part of the reason he's had a pretty good year, I think, is in 2011, 181 strikeouts for a leadoff hitter is probably a little too high. He's down this year to 134, making contact more, a higher average.
Robertson blows him away for the second out.
It's almost another guy you can ignore how hard he's throwing, right, John?
Absolutely. He just comes after it with that low cheese that stays there. Some guys it goes down, his just stays right there. Tough to hit when he throws it where he wants to.
Here's Infante. 0 for 4 with a walk.
Ernie, you said that Robertson was in 4 of 5 of those games in that division series. Oriole hitters were only 1 for 14, and if you remember, it was Mark Reynolds' pop-up that dropped in was the only hit.
No balls and 2 strikes. Bounced that one up there, and Martin stopped it.
If you're wondering why the catcher Avila is on first base, not pinch run for, only 2 catchers on their roster. Hit for Laird. He, of course, will catch the next inning.
Good job by Martin to keep that in front. Go-ahead run would have been at second.
Nice job by Omar Infante. Tough pitch by Robertson, right on the corner, right on the knees.
The 1-2. Count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pinch hitter Quentin Berry started the inning, grounding out. Avila, another pinch hitter, singled to right. Jackson struck out. And Infante's waiting on a 2-2. Easy play for Gardner in center. It is Sunday morning in New York, and we're going to the bottom half of the 11th. Yankee Stadium, Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Once upon a time, it was 4-0 Detroit, going to the bottom of the 9th. And the Yankees tied it up. Couple of 2-run homers, one of those by Ibanez, which tied the game. And you look at that bracket, and the Yankees working overtime here in Game 1. Quentin Berry came on to pinch hit in the 11th, stays in the game. He'll play left, and Andy Dirks will move from left to right. Alex Avila, who pinch hit for Gerald Laird, does the catching, and Drew Smiley. Welcome to the playoffs.
Yeah, tough position to be put in, but this is where you can grow up fast. I mean, he's come on the scene, done a nice job filling the gap, and now he's just trying to fill the gap and keep this Yankee miracle comeback to a bare minimum.
He's the only Tiger pitcher who did not appear in the first series. He will face Ichiro to lead off the bottom half of the 11th. In the 9th. Right past the pole for a 2-run shot.
It's tough to have a meeting before you throw a pitch, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, there's nerves. You try to hide them as best you can as a pitcher. The first thing you want to think about is just let me get that first guy out. Especially this guy who can create so many problems for you.
Throws a strike to Ichiro as he makes his postseason debut. No balls and 2 strikes. Line drive, center field, base hit. Ichiro connects on an 0-2 pitch.
Just didn't get it where he wanted to. You see where the sign is, and of course Ichiro can reach a lot of the plate. You got to get this ball down just from nerve standpoint, bounce it. Just too good of a pitch to hit on 0-2.
You're standing in your front yard when you're 10 years old, throwing the ball off the cement wall. I can't wait someday to be pitching in the postseason in the major leagues. Ooh, sometimes watch out what you wish for.
Here's Robbie Cano. 0 for 5. And now 2 for 27 in the postseason. This from a guy who came into the postseason on a 6-15 tear over 9 games. Go figure. Smiley throws over to keep Ichiro close.
Well, he'll develop a good move, but right now the young Smiley does not have a great move to first base. What he's got in his back pocket, though, is that Ichiro doesn't know him well enough.
The 1-0 to Cano. 2 balls and no strikes. In that electrifying 9th inning, Cano struck out after Ichiro had homered. Then it was Teixeira, who's on deck now, who drew the huge 2-out walk ahead of the Ibanez 2-run bomb that tied it. There's a strike, 2 balls, and a strike to Cano.
See the outfield playing no doubles. This might be the first time I've seen a right fielder 2 steps from the warning track. That's about as deep as you can play.
Still only about 270.
That's Andy Dirks out there in the shadow of the right field wall.
Right now, trying to figure out what can I throw, obviously to hit him, to get it to the second baseman so we can turn 2. What kind of pitch? Where do I need to put it? Cano very selective in what he goes after.
There goes Ichiro Fly ball, left field, right along the line. Long run for Berry. That ball is foul. So Ichiro in motion.
Great jump. Would have had the base stolen, but can't fault Cano. 2-1 pitch, looking for a strike. He got it. We talked about the numbers, 2 for 27. The thing about Cano and all great hitters, it takes one swing to have an aha moment back in the groove. No signs and touches.
Ichiro has stolen at least 20 bags every year of his career. 29 this year between Seattle and New York, 14 with the Yankees. He leads at first with nobody out.
Whenever they get that right foot beyond the cut of the grass, that's a pretty good lead.
Cano takes upstairs, full count.
Well, usually a hard call here. Cano has been swinging and missing. We talked about tough numbers in the postseason as Leland gives Avila the sign. But after the jump that Ichiro got,
oh yeah,
you have to send him.
He's going.
There he goes. And Cano just did tip it. Boy, and Avila took a shot.
Right on the left part of the face. Ichiro did not get a great jump. He's getting the jump to make sure he doesn't get picked off. Could be a strike him out, throw him out if Avila, if Cano strikes out.
Fly ball left field. Berry back. One down. And Ichiro bluffs and will return. That's an 0 for 6 for Cano tonight.
Well, Berry is a center fielder by trade, can play any of the outfield positions, and knew that Ichiro could be tagging one hop BB for a strike. Nice play.
Well, here's Teixeira, who was down in the count 0-2 in the ninth. Worked a walk. And then Ibanez homered to tie the game.
Because the left fielder's playing so deep and they've got a hole between third and short, normally a guy on a single wouldn't be able to go from first to third. Almost a guarantee. As deep as he is, you got a good chance to get to third base. But cutting off doubles, more important at this point, I guess.
There's that man, Raul Ibanez, in the on-deck circle. He's had one of the most incredible weeks in playoff history.
I thought you were going to say he's had one of the most incredible careers in 1 week playoff history.
That too.
Ichiro with the lead at first. Smiley throws over again. How about that?
Yeah, that's
How about that?
It's hard to believe. Hard to believe that that could exist in the playoffs.
And in this game one, the Yankees left them loaded 3 times early. They scored 4 runs in the 9th to tie it. Teixeira breaks his bat. Little blooper behind short. Peralta makes the play. And there are 2 down.
I know that's not the situation there. I don't want to bring up anything in the past anyways, but man, you'd love to change runners at first base.
Yeah.
By dropping it and throwing them out.
Here's Ibanez in the 9th.
You know, you're almost tempted to. If Ichiro goes, you got a base open.
You have to.
You don't even pitch to him.
Yeah, lefty too, right? But you have Chavez up on deck, another left-handed hitter.
But then you do get a guy in running, scoring position.
And you saw that graphic. Ibanez doing what nobody else had ever done in postseason history.
I missed it. What was it?
3 home runs in the 9th inning or later in the same postseason.
I know he's had all these home runs, but Chiro's got to steal a base here, get him scoring position. He decided to play it safe, at least for now.
In this election year, whatever he chose to run for, he'd win.
Yeah, right. Huge lead by Ichiro. Fans are booing because they can't wait to see Ibanez swing the bat.
There's a strike from Smiley. 2 balls and a strike.
I know this. The game keeps going. There ain't enough whoppers in that. I've eaten 9 bags of whoppers already.
Very good. You got to catch up. We're in the 11th.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Huge spot for the 23-year-old left-hander. In game 1 of the American League Championship Series, extra innings.
Make a pitch with 2 strikes.
In the air, shallow right center. Infante makes the play. What do you say? Let's go to the 12th. 13, and here we are in the 12th after the Detroit Tigers had a 4-0 lead erased in the 9th inning.
Well, thanks to Mr. Ibanez again, but I think even the bigger question is that going forward, the loyalty of Jim Leyland has always been there with all of his players. Benoit in the 8th, Valverde in the 9th. I think that's something that's going to have to be discussed either tonight or tomorrow moving forward, because after tonight's performance, just real difficult on the Tigers.
John, you are that close to taking a 1-0 lead in the series, doing it on the road here, and now you find yourself in a game like this. Can you describe the feeling in that Detroit dugout when that stuff was going down?
Well, they got the right part of the lineup up now. They got to find a way to get a win. It'll go that much farther if they can rally and win, but it'll go that much the other way if they don't. That's the teeter-totter of emotions they're dealing with right now, because the lasting impression was that they should have this game well in hand.
As we move to the 12th, you see who's going to lead it off for the Tigers. It's Miguel Cabrera. We got the big boppers here in the 12th. Cabrera, Fielder, Delman Young. Cabrera with his 44 home runs, 139 RBIs, and his .330 batting average. Triple Crown stuff. And he'll face the newest Yankee pitcher, David Phelps.
Yeah, and David Phelps had a spot in the rotation for a little while. 99 2/3 innings.
Pitching line on David Robertson. 1 inning, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 1 strike.
Cabrera singled his first time. He walked in the 6th.
No runs, no walks, 1 strike.
Otherwise, the Yankees have fared pretty well against him here in the opener. He had a big rip and fouled it back. Ball and a strike.
Well, there's a couple ways that why this game was so big for Detroit. You know that the starter for the Yankees coming back on 3 days. You got an opportunity, as you mentioned, to go 1 up. You also know when your guys lined up to pitch at home.
David Phelps, when you're talking about him getting some starts this season, well, he's going to serve as a long man right here, just as Smiley might for the Tigers. One more guy left in the bullpen for the Yankees, Jabba Chamberlain.
Phelps with a 1-2 to Cabrera. Tigers scored 2 in the 6th, 2 more in the 8th. They were sitting pretty going to the 9th, up 4-0. And then the bottom fell out. Cabrera laid off. It's 2-2.
He's got a pretty good idea of the strike zone, and it's a great pitch. Most guys might have gone after it, but a ball.
The count is full as Cabrera leads off the Detroit 12th.
Phelps has put himself in a predicament. They've gotten him out all night long with fastballs inside. Are you brave enough on 3-2 to throw a strike in there?
He went in there but missed, and Cabrera leads off the 12th with a base on balls.
Well, the Yankees have been so good as a staff and not walking guys. That was their first walk in quite some time.
Yeah, 15 2/3 innings, John. First walk for the Yankee bullpen.
And that brings up Prince Fielder.
Boy, you just feel the momentum shift just enough, didn't you? Yankee had their opportunities. Ichiro on first base in the last inning here with the young Phelps in the middle of the order for the Tigers.
Tapped up toward first. Teixeira makes the play as Cabrera moves to second.
Prince is such a big guy. That's a sacrifice bunt for a guy that size.
You know, you give credit to Dotel, Drew Smiley, who in a time when you're really down, you've seen that 4-0 lead dissipate, and you've hung around long enough to get these guys back in and give you a chance here in the 12th.
Talk about that word numb again. Your bench is numb after your pitcher's given up the lead of 4 runs. It almost takes you a couple innings to get back into the ball game.
Delman Young homered in the 8th.
Tell you, this has been just such a strange week for the Yankees. A lot of long nights, a lot of long games, quick turnarounds, but it's all been worth it when they've won that game 5 it would truly be worth it if they were to win this game, as it would be for Detroit with a short turnaround tomorrow, game time in the afternoon.
Two and 0.
The more innings you play, the longer you get away from the sting of the Valverde inning.
Driven to right, and it's going to roll to the wall. The Tigers are going to take the lead as Cabrera scores.
That ball was a missile, and I know Swisher was getting over, and we'll get a chance to look at it. This ball was not only hit hard, almost going away from him. Normally this ball will curve back, but see how it's going the other way, and at the last minute it gets by him.
Well, unless he lost that in the lights, and I know, John, it was hit on the nose, that's a play that's got to be made. Just eludes Swisher, sticks his glove out, and the ball, he almost overreaches the ball.
Delman Young comes up huge, and now Don Kelly will run for him at second. So the Tigers have the lead 5-4. And Johnny Peralta takes inside. That was really bizarre.
It's almost like Swisher was running after the ball, anticipated that he was going to have to dive for it, then realized that he didn't have to dive for it, and by the time he got his glove to where he thought the ball would be, it was already past him.
Yeah.
Fouled off at the plate by Peralta. Another look.
And you still got to say the ball was smoked. But still, I think that even Swisher would tell you that's a play he's got to make.
Yeah, as he was going up, the ball kind of, was diving down and couldn't make that adjustment, as you spoke of. Just didn't get it.
There's two reasons maybe that could have happened. We talked about the lights before. Could be a knuckler, but you don't really see a ball knuckling when it's driven that way.
And that's what I meant when it was first hit. It didn't have that natural curve back. Like a right-hander hits it, like the ball's going to come back to you, and almost had an appeal where it did not go back and it went down and away.
Well, it's a year of the knuckler anyway, so it's another one successful.
Got Albuquerque in the Tigers bullpen. Don't know if they'll bring him right away or let Smiley
face Chavez.
Peralta waiting on a 2-2. Grounded. Jeter will not be able to make a play there at the corners.
He's all right. He rolled over and tried to toss that ball. Well, maybe not. Landed on that foot again.
He's had all kind of trouble with the left ankle in the last month of the season.
Kind of trips up here. And you can see that scream of pain from Derek. Tripped up, kind of lands awkwardly on that ankle.
And he's coming out.
Wow.
Putting absolutely no weight on the left foot.
So sure it's the ankle, though.
Wow, here in the 12th inning, Tigers take the lead, and the Yankee captain helped from the field in Game 1 of the American League Championship Series.
Just kind of loses his footing. See his head go down. And you can see the scream of pain right here.
And speculation does absolutely no good at this point. We just knew that as he was helped off, there was no weight being applied on the left side. Joe Girardi out there to help him up.
His personality is always to pop up and do something. Couldn't do anything there.
And here's Andy Dirks, runners at first and third with one down. One in, 5-4. Tigers with the lead, and Jason Nix in for Jeter at short. Infield pulled in. Right back to the mound off Phelps, who tried to barehand it, and he'll have no play. And another run scores as Don Kelly makes it a 6-4 game.
It's a tough play as a pitcher. Your natural reaction is do whatever you can and try to barehand a ball. From that short a distance when it's hit this firmly.
It's right to Jason Nix, though, if he doesn't touch the ball.
Great jump on third base.
John, you've talked about it in the past, that natural reaction you have. You try to reach out, and Phelps unable to corral it with the bare hand. So
yeah, because right-handers are going to finish a little bit towards the first base side, so you're not in glove position, and you just taught, well, instincts tell you to just grab it, and it's hard to remember where the guys are positioned behind you. It really is. You look at them and then you almost forget.
Here's Quentin Berry. Boy, the range of emotions in this game, guys, from the place just being totally flat going to the 9th inning to the excitement of that 4-run rally. And now the Yankees faced with the prospect, as Berry fouls it off, not only losing a game, losing a captain and a leadoff hitter, and a heart and soul on this team here in extra innings.
For the Tigers, you never know what events will transpire. They could turn one of the worst giving up of a lead late in the game in probably their history to coming back and trying to get a win here.
Runners are at first and second with one out. 2 are in here in the top of the 12th. And the Tigers, who once led 4-0, have reclaimed the lead at 6-4. That ball bounces away. Martin hustles out of the box, and Peralta stays put at second.
We talked about the Tigers and runners in scoring position. Berry hit .367 during the year with runners in scoring position. And tonight they're 6 for 13. So they do something right when the guy gets a second or third.
And Berry looks at strike 3. 2 down in the 12th.
Well, as far as situational hitting and hitting with runners in scoring position, I think the argument could be made of the 4 teams remaining. The Tigers are the best in the American League. The Cardinals are the best in the National League.
And as we witness this here tonight, you go back to thinking last night you watched Game 5 between the Cardinals and the Nats, and the improbable rally by St. Louis, down again to their last strike. And you watch this tonight, the Yankees down to their last strike in the 9th. And that's when Ibanez struck again. But again, we've talked about the Tigers being able to keep it right there. And as we move to the 12th, had the heart of their lineup up here against Yankee relief pitching.
And it was the Tigers relief pitching of Octavio Dotel and Drew Smiley that really just put, I don't know, kind of tether on this game and let the sting of the Valverde effort in the 9th go away until they could come back with their offense.
Alex Avila takes a ball down low, 2 balls and a strike. Rest assured that nobody wearing the road grays of the Detroit Tigers will salt this one away until a 3rd out is made in the bottom half of this inning. After what we've seen tonight, not going to be any broad smiles breaking out in that dugout. Phelps to the plate, grounded to first. Teixeira with the flip. And that'll do it for the Tigers in the 12th. But Detroit scores twice. And a tough inning for the Yankees. Eric Chavez checked his swing, a ball and a strike.
Well, Drew Smiley, what did you do in your first postseason experience? Well, let me tell you.
You wouldn't believe me if I did tell you. In the air behind third. Peralta with a long run. And also Quentin Berry sliding, but can't make the play.
You know, we said before this game as we watch a great effort. He's got to slide because there's not enough time to stop. We said game 1's exactly that. And
the guy's trying to steal his glove. Well, nice effort by Quentin. That's the only way in some of these newer ballparks. Not a lot of foul territory. You have to go into the slide.
And Chavez goes down swinging, the tag applied by Avila, 1 down here in the 12th. Want to take another look at the injury to Derek Jeter.
Yeah, you can see that left ankle as he was trying to stop, as he was getting that ground ball. It gave a little bit.
And over the last month, Joe Girardi has said that while there are times that he would give Jeter a rest from playing short, he might DH him. It was always tough to get a read as Swisher takes a strike. It was always tough to get a real accurate read on how Jeter was feeling, because the answer he gave Joe every day was, "I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine." Obviously, when you saw him come off tonight, he is not great. He is not fine. And we wait to see the extent of the injury to Jeter here in game 1.
well, because of that and because of what the Tigers went through, this is not your normal game 1. This is an emotional game that means a little bit more to each team if the Tigers win it versus the Yankees.
Swisher.
And mainly because the way it unfolded. Like, if you just lose game 1, 4-0, 4-2, Yankees are like, no big deal. We're going to steal one in Detroit. You know, it's just game 1 of a best of 7. But the way it unfolded for Detroit, if they lose game 1, it's like losing 2 games.
Yeah.
And now if they can hold on, it's like that emotional 7-game series has turned in their favor. And of course the Yankees are dealing with their captain, and that has an adverse effect for them if he cannot come back.
Here's Brett Gardner with 2 down in the 12th. Gardner came on to pinch run in the 10th for Curtis Granderson. Stole a couple of bags, but the Yankees could not get him in. The count even, a ball and a strike. Well, just in physical stature, don't you? You look at Smiley. Do you see a little bit of Steve Avery?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Steve has let me know on several occasions that he's much better looking. Personal choice. But no, that was the first time when we did a game in Detroit. That's what I thought. Now for Gardner, you know, the well documented all the injuries he had. He had that many at bats.
Yeah.
In the regular season, and really he was put on this roster for pinch running in the situation that they brought him in for, and a little bit of late defense.
Tigers are a strike away again. Gardner on the ground to second. Infante to fielder. And it took 12 innings, but the Tigers have taken game 1 of the American League Championship Series over the New York Yankees.
Interesting to see Detroit sprint and run out of that dugout. Have you ever seen a team have more resiliency than this ball club after their dreadful and difficult 9th inning?
Well, listen, they know what this means for their teammate Valverde. I mean, they're 25 guys, and you don't ever want to see a guy feel the wrath of one game in a series that has to win 4. So they're pretty happy for their, not only for Smiley, but the fact that they won this game.
Game the Tigers let slip away in the 9th inning. They reclaim in the 12th. And opening up on the road in the ALCS, they take game 1. Let's go down to Craig Sager.
Well, Delman, 3 base hits, 3 runs batted in, but what a bizarre game to have that 4-run lead. You lose it in the 9th, but come back. What were the emotions in that dugout?
You know, to be honest, they were up and down, you know, because it's coming here and try to get game 1. Stuff to do. We had a lead, but, you know, they show what they've been doing all year. It's coming back and tying up ball games. They're trying to win ball games, but we held our composure and we came out in the 12th and got some runs. And Drew Smiley came out and shut the door.
How were you able to hold your composure after being so deflated?
We're big leaguers. We're supposed to.
And when you talk about this game, the big thing that's going to stand out is their captain, Derek Jeter, going down. Obviously, you're thrilled to win the game, especially the way you did. But what are your thoughts on an opponent, especially one that's, I don't know, looked up to as Derek Jeter?
I know, that was, we were scared. You know, we didn't know what was going on. Hopefully, it's just maybe just a little rolled ankle where he can just come out and play tomorrow. You know, Derek's been idle for many baseball players and many baseball fans, so hopefully he can recover fast and be out there tomorrow.
All right, thanks a lot. Back up to you, EJ.
All right, thank you very much, Craig. Nearly 5 hours in the making. Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. And wow, what a swing of emotions throughout this 12 inning.
And a home run record for Delman Young tonight for the Detroit Tigers, 6 in the postseason.
Well, they say if you're around this game long enough, you've seen it all. I think I have. I think I've seen it all.
Just with this very week
here
at Yankee Stadium, you've seen it all. Even with Raul Ibanez again providing 9th inning dramatics. This time the Yankees cannot pull it off. Our final score, 6-4 Tigers. Be sure to tune in later today on TBS for Game 2 of the Tigers and Yankees. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern with MLB On Deck presented by Dodge Dart. For Ron Darling and John Smoltz and Craig Sager and the rest of the crew, this is Ernie Johnson saying good night and good morning from New York. TBS, your exclusive home for the American League Championship Series.